HM Productions presents White Devil Podcast.
Welcome to the White Devil Podcast, podcast number 9, and today we're discussing video game movies. And with me, I have 5 special guests. First of all, we have some returning stars of the podcast, Cendoo and T-McBee.
Hi. T-McBee.
Hi.
All right, and also returning after a much longer period, we have Amuia and Lindsey, also known as the Female Red.
I'm back.
Hello, Lindsey.
I said hello.
Oh, you said okay. Yeah, it's
Hi, Senpai.
Don't ignore me.
all right. All right, and also making making his introduction to the podcast. Here for the very first time, also a member of It's Tale Time, we have Joe of Phoenix 8 Productions.
Who? He works with the It's Tale Time website? I don't remember him. What? He makes videos?
Good question. Where the heck have you been?
I've been on something of a sabbatical, I guess you could call it, from videos lately. Just trying to get more, kind of going through a bit of a creative lull. You know, been trying to work on different projects, you know, a lot of writing and whatnot. I do have some videos and whatnot planned, but again, with that whole stomach problem, that kind of took me out for a couple of weeks. But I've still been trying to write and do stuff like that, some scripts and things. So I have projects for all you guys who like to watch my stuff. There is stuff in the work. It's just been very, very slow in coming.
Yes, we need more
stuff.
stuff.
We had to have Joe, of course, on the podcast because we're going to talk about movies. I don't know. I think we were considering. I don't know if you did. I ever send you an invitation for the horror movie podcast?
I don't think so. I
guess we just discussed it like behind the scenes, but we never actually.
Actually, I think you might have, but I said that because I don't watch horror movies, I'm not all that well informed about them.
All right.
So.
Well, yes.
Wait. There's a movie genre you don't watch? This is nonsense.
I have never been big on horror movies.
Okay, but because we're doing a movie-related podcast, of course we needed to have Joe on here, and it is nice to finally have you on here because I'm sure you're going to. This is going to be enriching for all of us. That what you're going to contribute to it, and of course everybody else here, like Amuia has been. Of course, you were actually on that horror movie podcast. And,
yes.
Yes, and you were on both of the anime podcasts, weren't you?
I believe so.
Yes, and that was also the last time we had Lindsey on, so the second anime podcast, if you remember.
Yes, I was.
Yes, and
we missed you. We missed you, Red.
That was my first podcast.
I know, and we miss you.
So I took your podcast virginity, is what you're saying.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Well,
be safe about it.
Nice. Yes.
Yes, Hannu, you better put a ring on it.
Wow.
Protection.
Okay, anyways.
All right, moving right along. Well, before we move on to the podcast, there's
podcast PhD again, please, guys.
We have some silly frivolity to do to get out of the way before we get to the actual meat of the podcast. But okay, why is this everything sounding dirty today? Meat, virginity. Okay.
Well, you're the one who said virginity. Come on.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
All right, but before we move on to everybody's favorite segment, I just want to ask: does anybody have a remedy for a song stuck in your head? Because I've got a bad case of it right now.
Get another song stuck in your head.
Get another song. Okay. I guess I gotta do that because for a week now, like last Sunday, we were riding in my sister's car, listening to the radio, and Fading Like a Flower from Ratchet came on, and it's been stuck in my head this whole week. Like, every time I'm just sitting by myself, not thinking about anything particular, all of a sudden, every time I see you, oh, I try to hide away, and it's not going away. I tried the other one is people tell me that you need to listen to the song, and I've done it like a dozen times. It doesn't help.
Anybody? It works, actually.
Yep. Yep.
I hate it when it's a song that you don't like.
Yes, that's even worse. Yeah.
Yep. That I can agree with. Normally, just listen to another song or just have something else in your mind, like, besides that stupid song. Like, that's what I normally do. I mean, like, it's like, I know, like, a couple of times I had the song Everything Is Awesome in my head from the Lego times. Great song, but, like, come on, like, I gotta take a break at least.
Oh, yeah.
That song was intended to be as a joke towards silly songs that stuck in your head.
Yeah. It's supposed to be the joke, and I understand that. But
it worked.
That song, but you just gotta think about something else. It's sort of like the same thing with other songs that have been overplayed and stuff. So it'll go away eventually.
I'm just a little like OCD about it. If somebody says something that's like a line from a song I've heard a lot, it'll just start playing in my head.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm not gonna give you examples because I know one of you will torture me if I do.
I get that a lot when we do the XCOM Let's Play with Ville. He'll say something that reminds me of the lyrics of a song. I start singing it, and he never gets it because he doesn't listen to any music.
Yeah,
I just
in my particular case, what I end up having is, I get earworms all the time. So what I just decide to do is I get all the awesome songs that I love, and if I get them stuck in my head, I just make that my theme song for the day.
I guess I got some.
So I got Aerosmith, Nirvana, Bon Jovi, Journey, so that at least if I have an earworm, it's a good song, and I'm starting to, I'm just humming it throughout the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Use it to your advantage.
Okay, but now that we've got the obligatory introduction out of the way, let's move on to Match Game. All right, everybody, welcome back to the White Devil Podcast, the White Devil Match Game. And we have lots of new contestants, no returning champions this time, but T-McBee and Cendoo are here at least, so they know the game. They know the game, and but the first contestant, the person who gets to go first, is Amuia. And Amuia, you get your pick from two scenarios. A or B, and whichever you don't pick is going to be an option for the next player. But so, which one do you want, A or B?
Guess to be different, B.
B. All right, everybody. After a particularly hair-raising trip to the library, Indiana Jones said, "Blanks. Why'd it have to be blanks?" Did everybody catch that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so everybody just now
Yes.
the panelists just write their answers, how they would fill in that blank, and we'll wait it out for them. I gotta get my shit organized here.
Could you repeat that?
He has to get his S organized.
All right. After a particularly hair-raising trip to the library, Indiana Jones said, "Blanks. Why'd it have to be blanks?" Okay. Wow. It looked like. Wait a minute. Whoa, Cendoo. How many answers are you gonna write?
Those aren't answers. Scroll to the bottom.
Oh, okay.
They're
You're just writing nonsense on Facebook. Come on.
No, I'm not. I was sending you stickers. Can we send a sticker as an answer?
All right. We're still waiting for Joe. Okay.
All right.
Now everybody's answered. So, Amuia, I'm going to read it one more time, and then I'm going to ask for your answer for this. I'm so disorganized over here. Okay. After a particularly hair-raising trip to the library, Indiana Jones said, "Blanks. Why'd it have to be blanks?"
I'm gonna go with snakes.
Snakes.
Ah.
Oh my God, this is so funny. This is so funny. I need to tell this before we go around the table to get all the answers. That before this, we started recording. I made an Indiana Jones joke that got zero reception from anybody. So I'm a little worried for Amuia, but let's hope at least one of these dingbats has watched an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I am an Indiana Jones fan.
Yes.
Who has seen, all 4 movies and some of young Indiana.
Some hope. Joe, you're first. So how did you answer?
Books.
Books.
I was gonna put snakes, but I thought I wanted the point that you made a library. I thought it should be something library related. And I am actually I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan. I actually dressed up the day after the premiere of the 4th Indiana Jones movie.
Okay, but this is what you're getting. Oh, sorry, wrong. That's the one. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Sorta.
All right, so yeah. That's unfortunately a miss for Amuia. The one hope. So there's no hope for the rest of these guys, but let's see. T-McBee, what did you answer?
I said snakes!
Snakes! Oh my god, you did! Oh, okay, I gotta play the right sound effect. No, that's the theme, sorry. There it is. Ah, love that sound. Okay.
There you go.
So we did get one match. Yeah. All right, good. Amuia's finally off.
I know the movie at least. I watched a bit of it, for God's sake.
All right. Yeah, this was a risky one because it is an iconic line from the movie that I'm referencing, but basically you could put anything. Books was a good answer because we're in a library, so it's a logical answer. All right, so next up, Lindsey, what did you write?
Oh, man. I didn't even know.
I don't even know. Okay. Did you... wait a minute, you wrote snowmen before that.
Yes.
Snowmen, and I don't even know.
Snowmen, why did it have to be
You know what you're getting? You know what you're getting? That's what you're getting. It's a miss. And, okay, this is going to be a little... I should have probably explained before that the answer actually does have to relate to the puzzle somehow. So it's not your fault, but I'm going to have to give you a rotten answer award for that one. That's a rotten answer award. That's only in the case you end up in a tie for the victory. Then it's going to count against you. But I probably should have told you before that. Don't feel too bad about it, but it's unlikely that we'll get too many more rotten answers like that. Okay, but...
Don't worry, I've got one for you.
Yes, Cendoo actually got, like, that's what's funny, like, the first match game, we didn't get any rotten answer awards. Next podcast, 3 of the contestants got a rotten answer award.
Yeah.
That was weird. That was wild. Okay.
Well, it's your fault.
They were all excited, that's all. They just wanted to be dirty.
By the way, I misclicked. I actually looked at Lindsey's answer before, but wait a minute, who are we? Cendoo. We still haven't heard from Cendoo.
I said curses because I thought he'd be read about curses to where he did go.
Did you? Curses.
Yes.
Why did it have to be curses?
Curses. Why did it have to be curses? Yeah. Like, I don't know.
You aren't good at this game at all, are you, Zach?
You got it wrong too.
It does make
But
sense,
at least mine
though,
related to the question in some capacity.
Yeah.
Well, I figured, books on these things would speak of ancient curses.
And he is an adventurer.
Well, not too bad. Not too bad. Like, at least one, and at least another answer that's somehow related to the puzzle. The curses. That's a bit of a stretch.
There are snake curses out there.
Cendoo, don't make it any worse. I'm going to let you off on this one. Just because you got a rotten answer award last time. I'm sure. Yeah, you're going to go last. So. You'll have the most preparation mentally for this task of the puzzle. But anyway, so at the end of that round, Amuia got 1 match. Not could have been better, but not too bad. Not too bad. Okay.
Yeah, at least it's something.
It's something, yeah. Okay, so next up we have T-McBee.
Oh, I thought it was go.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I guess I'll go
A or
next.
B. Yeah, you get to pick from A or B.
I'm gonna go for A for asshole.
All
Okay,
right.
that's
Oh, by the way, I needed to address this, by the way, because I didn't, and I feel so silly. Like, when we did the podcast last time, it was actually kind of unseasonably hot in my room when we were doing it, and I was giggling like an idiot when, in one of the puzzles, Dorobka's answer, it was the Zelda one, related to an ocarina and blowing, I guess.
Yeah.
And, and I started giggling like an idiot when Dorobka answered birthday candle. And because Dorobka and Retrocast are usually the dirty ones on the show, so I was expecting him to give like a dirty answer to the puzzle. And I realized, like, when he said birthday candle, like, for some reason in my head I heard, like, birthday suit. And that's why I was giggling like an idiot. I had, like, a brain in the middle of it, and I didn't realize, like a candle on a birthday cake. And so I need to apologize for laughing like an idiot last time for something that wasn't even remotely funny.
Hey, Hannu.
Yep.
And they might have to disappear soon because the power went out, so we shouldn't ramble too much.
Oh!
Okay.
Read the Skype is what I'm saying.
Wow, so this just got a whole lot more intense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear beeping outside my house, so...
Okay.
Well, okay, I'll ask the puzzle. I'll read out the puzzle, so you chose A. A was the one that Amuia turned down. Pac-Man said to Mrs. Pac-Man, I must have had too many pills because I'm seeing blanks. Okay. Did everybody hear that? Do I need to read it again?
Yes.
I need to read it again.
Can you read that again, please?
Okay. Pac-Man said to Mrs. Pac-Man, I must have had too many pills because I'm seeing blanks. Okay.
I know it could be one of two things.
All right. By the way, the weather is much nicer this time around, so I hopefully will not have a similar stupid incident. Okay, everybody's written their answers. Everybody's given their answers. All right. Some were a little bit more indecisive than others, but okay. T-McBee.
Okay.
I'll read it out. I'll read the puzzle again. Pac-Man said to Mrs. Pac-Man, I must have had too many pills because I'm seeing blanks.
I'm gonna say ghosts.
Ghosts. That's a good answer. That's a really good answer. Okay. So the first one to go is Amuia. What did you answer?
Go.
Ghosts. That's a match.
Yay! I got one right.
All right. Good. We're off to a good start. We're really off to a good start. Joe, what did you answer?
Ghosts.
Ghosts.
Yay!
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 All right. So that's 2 matches. T-McBee takes the lead. All right. I'm thinking this might have been a little too easy. Okay. Lindsey, what did you answer?
I said aliens.
Aliens.
Because
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something you would see if you were on too much medication.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's a miss, but that was an appropriate answer. Yes. So okay, and Cendoo, what did you answer? Wait, did you change your answer again?
I think I changed it too late.
All right. Well, what did you answer?
And I did put ghosts originally.
Wait a minute. You wrote down ghosts, no spots. Well,
I don't know if I changed it. Oh, fine. Yes, I did. I was thinking ghosts, but then I thought power. All the pack dots, so he's seeing spots.
Well, spots was your most recent answer, and it was you were up to 3 when I called it quits for any more answers. So unfortunately, I'm gonna count that as a miss. So yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. That's a logical answer. That's one where you should have been more decisive with your answer.
Shut up. I was in my head going back between ghosts and spots.
Well, it only, this is it's only bad news for T-McBee. It's good news. It's probably good news for you, but.
Yeah, but T-McBee is one of the most important people here, so.
All right, so at the end of that round, T-McBee got 2 matches, 2 exact matches. Well, so that's really good. She's in the lead now. And all right, so we're gonna have to put in another puzzle. This is a good one. All right, and it's Joe's turn. Joe's turn to play.
Joe.
All right, and Joe, which one do you pick? A or B?
B. Obviously.
B. Did you say B?
B.
B. Yes, B is the one that T-McBee turned down. So here we go. All right, everybody get ready to write. Zangief is so hairy. Oh, I forgot.
How hairy is he?
Thank you. There's always one that thankfully remembers this. Zangief is so hairy. How hairy is he? Where most men use a razor to shave body hair, Zangief uses a blank. All right, everybody write their answer?
Can you repeat it one more time?
All right. Zangief's so hairy, how hairy is he? He's so hairy where most men use a razor to shave body hair, Zangief uses a blank.
Who the heck is Zangief?
Zangief from Street Fighter 2. Who knows Zangief?
I do.
It's the Russian wrestler with the mohawk.
Oh, the one from Wreck-It Ralph where he...
Yes. The one with the mohawk and the bear scars because he practices by wrestling with bears. So he's a tough guy. He's a tough Ruski, basically. So, all right.
Oh, that guy.
Yep, that guy.
Okay, Joe, you didn't need to write your answer.
The guy nobody.
But everybody's written in. So everybody's written in. So I'm calling it calling it here. No more extra answers. So, Joe, did you just out of habit write your answer?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't need to write it, but okay. But now I need an answer. Zangief is so hairy. How hairy is he? He's so hairy where most men use a razor to shave body hair. Zangief uses a
Chainsaw.
chainsaw.
Oh, that's a
That's a really macho answer.
Body parts.
That's a really macho answer. I'm not sure you're gonna get many matches with it. What? Well, we'll see. We'll see. Amuia, what did you say?
An axe.
An axe. That's a close one. That's a close one. I don't think I'm gonna. No. It's still too far away, like to give a soft match for it. So that's a miss. That's definitely a miss. I already played the sound effect, so. Okay. So no take-backs on that one. No take-backs on sound effects. Unless I get it totally wrong. Okay, T-McBee, what did you say?
I said claws.
Claws?
Yeah, like claws from a bear because, of his macho-ness. I don't know.
Okay, that's a bit of a stretch, but I'll allow it. Oh, it's not looking too down, two to go. It's not looking good for Joe. Okay.
Unintentional rhyme.
What? No? Lindsey, what did you write?
I put lawnmower.
Lawnmower?
Well, that is a similar mechanic to a chainsaw.
That is a motorized cutting utensil. Just so Joe won't feel bad at the end of this round, I'm going to give that a soft match. So a soft match is not an exact match, but let's say you end up in a tie. T-McBee, it's like a
little extra point.
No, it's not an extra point. It actually detracts. But just so he won't feel bad, I'll give that a soft match. I'm feeling merciful today.
Okay.
Okay. So we only got Cendoo left. So Cendoo, what did you answer?
Just like T-McBee, I put bear claws.
Bear claws.
I figured he.
That's a no.
I figured he wrestled with bears, so.
Yeah. So that's one soft match. Otherwise, all misses. Sorry, Joe. You can't win them all.
Looks like Lindsey, looks like you're the only one who can think like Joe.
I guess that was a close one. This was a tough one. I will admit this was a tough one because it could have been anything really. When you have a big hairy guy like Zangief, that sounds wrong too. That also sounds wrong and dirty somehow. Yeah. And we're back, and now we move to the actual topic of today's podcast, which is video game movies. And this, of course, is a topic of great interest to me. People probably who have visited my YouTube channel know that I have, a bunch of videos regarding this topic. And also, not only that, I actually have a playlist. I've actually put like all of my videos that actually relate to said topic. And it is a big part of, I think, movies nowadays. Like video games they're not quite there yet, but they've kind of started to reach the same kind of prominence and acceptability as film source material as, say, novels, comic books, trading cards, what else have you. So it was important. So I decided that we're going to be talking about a little bit about like our experiences with video game movies, our opinions upon them, and also like what we think could possibly be done better about them. And I have a bunch of things that we get to talk about. But let's first go around the table. I just want to hear from everybody. First of all, what is your favorite video game based movie that you've seen, and what is your least favorite? Let's to put some kind of a spectrum on everybody. What is a video game movie that you really liked, and what was one that you really didn't like? So. Cendoo, do you want to go first?
Shoot. Actually, no, I need a minute to think about that.
Okay, who wants to go first? Just Joe? Joe?
Yeah, you had to go to me.
Okay, we can go to somebody else.
Well, no.
Okay.
But, my reason is not because I don't have an answer. It's because I don't think that there are any good video game movies.
Wow, that's harsh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
I know you're.
I think.
You can answer what's the worst.
Okay.
Anything made by Uwe Boll.
Okay. And what's the least awful? What's the least awful you've seen?
maybe Advent Children, and that's only because it's actually a video game movie that manages to expand on what the video game was doing, but not be tied down by the fact that, video games, for the most part, might as well be movies. They're movies that you play. So there's no point in having a video game movie.
Okay, that's an interesting point, but...
I think Advent Children was probably one of my favorites, just because it was the least enjoyable. There was controversy, sure.
Okay.
Least favorite? I tend to avoid them. I've seen Super Mario Brothers movie, but Actually, Sonic the movie. I don't know if that's based on the games, though. Yeah, that one I really liked, actually. That's probably my favorite.
So you think... Okay, I'll let you think about the worst one for a little while. What about?
I don't know. It takes a lot to make me dislike a movie. If you haven't guessed.
Okay, so we have two very contrasting personalities here already. Okay,
that's why we work well off each other, right, Joe?
Yep.
Okay, but what about Amuia?
I think that I don't think most video game movies are bad. I just think most video game movies are okay.
But would you give us a spectrum of what's the one that you liked the best, and what was the one that you hated the worst? Hated the worst. Doesn't sound right. Okay.
I guess if you take away like nostalgia and everything, I have to go with actually Gex up and say that one of my top ones is the Prince of Persia movie.
Ah,
interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting pick. Okay, and what about the worst one?
Well, considering that I have knowingly stayed away from every Uwe Boll movie so far, out of the ones that I've seen, I'd probably have to go with Annihilation.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yes.
Oh! Wow. Okay.
The movies that we didn't watch but saw Nostalgia Critic reviews count.
Yeah.
Well,
I
would rather that you have your own well-informed opinion about them, but okay, what would your answer be then?
Oh, me? Or what?
Sorry, Cendoo, do you have finally an answer, or do you still need to think about it?
Oh, I do. Sorry, I do have an answer though for a one that I would actually say is maybe at least a decent movie.
Yes.
It's one I completely forgot about, but
yes.
Lara Croft Tomb Raider from 2001.
All right. Good.
Of course.
Good. Nice.
Yeah.
Hooray!
That was one of the better ones.
All right. And Cendoo?
Yeah.
Cendoo?
Ascendu.
Do you still need to think about your answer, or can I give T-McBee the mic?
I'm just gonna say the Super Mario Brothers movie. I have seen that one, and it is a bad movie, but I don't hate it, honestly. But,
yeah, you're probably never gonna find anybody to deny that it's not a bad movie. But yes, okay, good. We finally got an answer out of the man. It's only been 5 minutes.
It's just one of those movies I acknowledge is bad, but I'm more. It's like fascinatingly bad to me, not insulting.
Do you feel that you secretly kind of like it, even though it is bad?
I wasn't a Nintendo kid, so I don't know. When I saw it as a kid, I didn't really think much of it.
Not just outside of like any Nintendo related thing. I'm a little bit like that. I acknowledge that it is a bad movie, but I still kind of like it.
Yeah, I'm like that with a lot of movies.
Okay.
Not all of them though. If you saw my Ghost Ship review.
All right, TheHande, what about you?
Well, maybe it's a good thing I saw one of these movies before we started recording this. But yesterday I watched Bayonetta Bloody Rate, which is a movie based on Bayonetta, the 2009 video game.
Oh.
And there was actually some mixed feelings about it, but I think it's actually pretty accurate to the game itself, except they changed a few things, and it's still confusing, but I find it less confusing in the movie than in the game itself. So I feel like it's an interesting watch, like nothing that you could like see right away, see it all the time, but like at least like see it once. It kind of stays true, like to its material. So
that's a video distribution one, is it?
Pardon?
Is that a video distribution movie only?
What do you mean, like?
So it didn't have a theatrical release.
I don't know. Well, it may be in Japan because it has an anime style to it.
Okay, interesting.
And it's going to get a dubbing soon this year. so I watched it.
Yeah,
and
animated video game movies are a bit of a hazy area. We'll talk about that later, but okay, so you like that one. Yep.
So far, for now, but I'm sure it's going to change once, the Ratchet and Clank movie comes up, or maybe the Sly Cooper movie comes up. Who certainly knows? Because, it's not video game, movies based on video games is, I'm not crazy about them like a lot of people are, so.
What about Wreck-It Ralph?
It's just.
Wreck-It Ralph, that's a good
video
one.
Game, but
if Wreck-It Ralph can't. Wait, if Wreck-It Ralph counts, that's easily my favorite.
Well, I have a topic related to this, so we'll get to it in a bit. But
or the Pokemon movies. What about the Pokemon movies?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well,
but are those more related to the video games or the anime?
That's another fair point, but we'll let T-McBee answer first. Like what?
Okay, well, I didn't even think about Wreck-It Ralph, but I guess it's just about video games, not based on a video game. But I don't know if it's. Well, I guess okay. Well, do you know what? If it's about video games, Wreck-It Ralph, based on a video game.
It's starring a video game character. It's not about video games directly. Just it's in that universe.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, we can get to this topic a bit later, but can we please kind of stay on track for the first part of this conversation, which is T-McBee, what's your
track.
You would say that was your favorite, Wreck-It Ralph?
Oh, I'll go Wreck-It Ralph. Fine.
Okay,
Wreck-It
and
Ralph.
least favorite.
Favorite.
Oh, well, I know Uwe Boll is a big one, and I haven't seen them fully because I know it's bad to begin with. But the one I've seen so far that bored me, even though there was one scene that was good, was Doom.
Doom's not an Uwe Boll movie.
Rock.
Doom is not an Uwe Boll movie.
I'm saying that's my least favorite.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't say
Okay.
like video game movie.
All right, sorry, I got confused because you mentioned Uwe Boll there.
Yeah,
but no, okay, so you didn't like Doom. Okay.
No, I found Doom boring.
All
be
right.
honest.
All right, good. And then finally, my answer, which is, if people have watched my top 10s, bottom 10s, they know these. But for me, like the best, or the ones that I really, really liked, and what represent right now in my view, like the peak of quality for video game to movie adaptations or video game movies in general. Like I said, they're actually like this is bringing up a good point. Where do we draw the line between a movie based on a video game and movie inspired by video games? But for me, like the ones that really represent the peak of quality, well, I obviously have a soft spot for Resident Evil, but then I think very underrated, in my opinion, is the movie Hitman, which I think actually like excels like a lot of the general expectations that we would have from that kind of a adaptation. But absolute top favorite for me has been for a long time now the first Silent Hill movie, and I think that's a very ballsy take on the video game, and which is why it's remained my favorite, and it does a lot of things that I wish other video game movies would do. But we're gonna go more into depth into that later. As for least favorites, I'm trying to remember right now. Oh, I'm gonna get a ton of hate for this, but I did put it on the bottom 10, so people probably already know that I really didn't like the animated Street Fighter movie. I think, yeah, that was.
Well, I didn't
the
see
Chun-Li movie.
No,
What, the Chun-Li movie?
that was. You need to see my full review of it. It did certain things okay, certain things not great, and it lands. It's a bit lukewarm for me. It's directed by the same person who did the Doom movie, by the way. So Andrei Parkoviak. But as for Uwe Boll movies, my absolute least favorite of his films is the movie Postal. That movie is just insultingly bad. And it makes you feel like a bad person for watching it as well. So I do not recommend it. Maybe once, but never after that. So
Postal, who even remembers that game?
Isn't that a very controversial one?
One of the most controversial video games of all time. It was like banned in a bunch of countries. Not a great game, probably, but
Yeah.
It's Postal 2. It's just a sandbox game. It doesn't stand out much.
Yeah, but as bad as Postal is, I have the same worst answer as Amuia, which is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And I will have to admit it's probably not as insultingly bad. Like there's just so much wrong with Postal as a overall. So it's not in the same category of bad, but it's like in a category of like shoddy filmmaking. It is like a prime example.
Well, I tell you what makes it even worse though is that the first movie was so good.
I know. So yeah, that's another thing. Is like I do definitely have like a personal bias against that film because of my like closeness to Mortal Kombat. Like that's another reason why I recognize that maybe like overall quality-wise, it's not perhaps as bad as some of the Uwe Boll movies. But like it's on a personal level, it just hurts me. So so that's one of it. That's one of the things about it. Okay, well. Now that we kind of got a spectrum for people's likes and dislikes as far as video game movies go, let's move on to, this is a really broad topic to actually get into, but I do want to get into it because it's clear to me that Joe at least has a lot of strong opinions about this, but Cendoo and I'm sure everybody has something to contribute to this. So I have a general topic that I've written down here is how can video game movies become better? And I'll preface this in saying that I think it's a good thing that video games are being made into movies because I think it is an important step towards legitimizing video games as a cultural element, a culture in and of itself. And that requires also outside recognition as much as it requires, like, obviously gaming is a huge thing. Like, it's literally it is recognized in some countries as a sport now. But cultural importance is also a key factor here, and I think that's why it's important. Nevertheless, I do feel that there's a lot of missteps and things that tend to happen very frequently when movies get transferred to when video games get transferred into movies, and I do feel that there's still like some very basic baby steps that need to be taken by filmmakers who decide to take on video game projects, like to dispel like certain things like these are just cash-ins, and sometimes maybe that is the case. Like Uwe Boll, yeah, definitely, but you don't see like mainstream movie directors going for video game movie adaptations, and I think that says that usually the directors at least have some. Even if it's like a very fading interest, they usually have some interest in video games in general for them to actually like take on a movie adaptation. So, but what do you think? But what do you think? How can video game movies become better? So, does anybody want to grab onto this?
Well, I will grab onto it.
Yes. Okay.
I think we all can.
Yes.
All right. Well, I agree with you that video games should definitely be, there should be more video game inspired movies, because video games are a very important cultural and artistic medium. But I also want to say that they should be still separate from movies, because it's exactly the same way I treat video games and movies in the same way that I would television and movies, and there's a reason that The Last Airbender was such a bad movie, is because the story it was based off of was designed and written for the medium of television, not the medium of a movie. And the same would go for a video game. So I think a video movie would be much better if it were designed to expand upon the world of a video game rather than retell the same story of a video game. That's why I think Advent Children is a slightly better form of how a video game movie should be. Its problem was that its story was completely and totally stupid. But that's a problem with most Final Fantasy games, I find.
And not to mention it was confusing too. Like if you just jump to this movie right away without, playing Final Fantasy VII, you're going to be like, what the hell's going on?
Right, and that's a problem with the movie itself, but not its transition over from a game to a movie. This is why, a lot of video game movies don't turn out too well, because they're trying to be a video game, whereas video games nowadays are very much more cinematic than they've ever been. They operate on a different means, so they have to be told in a different way.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting what you're saying. So you're not in that camp of people that say that there, and I know this for a fact because I've encountered quite a few of them who say that there should be no video game movies ever after so-and-so movie ruined it again for everything. So you don't feel that way.
I don't.
Yeah. And that's also interesting that, I think you said earlier, or did I mishear you, that you said, like, video games are basically like a movie that you play the story.
Right.
That's also an interesting viewpoint because I know a lot of people who don't feel that way. Some people seem to abhor stories in video games, thinking that they kind of take away from the actual experience of a game, which is playing the game, which to me is a stupid and one-sided viewpoint.
even if you agree to that idea that it's far more about the gameplay than the story, even you having gameplay helps to create a personal story between you and that video game. So there's still a story being told, but it's a personal one.
Yes. And that's a interesting point. Amuia, were you trying to say something? Because it seems like I interrupted you or cut you off.
Well, I was just saying, first, when you asked, I was just saying that I had something to say, and then once we all started saying something, I was like, clearly we all have something to say.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah,
but
I do too.
I'll just go ahead and say my piece really quickly.
Yep.
Since I'm already talking. But going back to your question, I think that the biggest thing that's needed is actually just passion.
Yeah.
Like passion for the franchise. I mean, you look at just two recent things that have come out. Need for Speed, the movie, had nothing to do with the video game and just had the current hot actor, like the current actor that's in because Breaking Bad just ended, and then you look at I know it's more of a web series, but I'm bringing it up to prove a point. Street Fighter Assassin's Fist, which if you haven't seen it, you should. It is awesome. It's made by the same people that made Mortal Kombat Legacy.
Oh, okay.
And it's basically based on that like short clip that went online for a while where it was just Ryu and Ken fighting. Mm-hmm. It was that little short that came out. Basically, they expanded that into a whole series. Mm-hmm. And it's just...
So basically what happened with Mortal Kombat Legacy.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But basically they stripped it down, they gave it very few characters. It was mostly Ken and Ryu's story, and you could tell that they clearly knew their history, they clearly knew everything that was going on, and they pumped out something really good. It's passion that's needed, because...
Yeah. Yes, and you make very good points there. And I kind of wished that somebody... I wished also that somebody would bring up the new Need for Speed movie, and I also kind of wished that Retro Kaiser would have been here, because we both reviewed that movie, and I noticed that we both had kind of very contrasting views on that movie. Like, we both kind of liked it, but we liked the completely opposite things about it. Like, Kaiser felt the best part of that movie were all the crazy car scenes, and he felt that the characters and the story was kind of boring and uninteresting. Whereas I felt that the humans and characters, the story, although very cliched and predictable, was still fairly enjoyable. Like I enjoyed the human element of the film, whereas I felt that the chase scenes and cars were completely like ridiculous and or just complete a waste of time. Like it was the movie was way too slow paced to be a dumb car movie basically. But yeah, and that's the thing I was also worried about when Need for Speed was when they were still making it. Like I was thinking okay, so they're not adapting the story from like one of the there are some installments of Need for Speed that had a story, and didn't have anything to do with that. Like I thought, are they just going to take the cars from the game? And that's what they did. Is that they actually the only thing that it actually has in common with the Need for Speed games is that they took some of the iconic cars. And if you ask Kaiser, because I have not played Need for Speed, Kaiser says that there were elements of those chase scenes that were supposed to evoke certain tracks and locations from the games. So but that's a very esoteric take on it, and I feel like, okay, you really need to be a Need for Speed fan to enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
Apparently, or you have to be like me, somebody who actually likes looking at what the humans are doing and not the cars. So
But
I don't
you
know.
got my
I don't know,
point.
and even then it can go either way, really. But I feel like, yeah, Need for Speed felt like a very odd video game. As video game movie adaptations go, it felt really weird. Like
just to prove my point, since you said that some people like that, I just want to go ahead and mention that proving my point of lack of passion is I'm looking at Wikipedia, so it could be wrong, but I'm looking at their list of upcoming video game movies, and there are a ton out there, but on the list, I kid you not, is Angry Birds, Temple Run, and Minecraft.
I've heard of that. Yeah, I heard after the success of the Lego movie, they wanted to do a Minecraft movie.
But they're also doing Angry Birds movie and a Temple Run movie, a game where you're literally just a guy running.
Well, they'll give it a lot of backstory.
I'm gonna. We're gonna talk about upcoming video game movies a little later.
Sorry.
That's on the list. That's on the list actually. But
Sorry.
But you raise important points about the passion and the I don't think there's been a director so far who hasn't had an interest in the game, but it's definitely clear that some people, like the directors, don't always perhaps understand the source material, or they do, but then they kind of neglect it when they're wanting to tell their story. And this kind of brings us back a little bit about Joe. What Joe was saying, that video game movies should expand on things that are already in the video game, and it's a different storytelling medium. So you don't believe either that video games should be like blind retellings of the stories in the video games?
Oh, me?
Joe mentioned that, I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think that they should be blind retellings because the story's already been told. Why tell the same story twice?
Yes, and I find this very interesting in relation to Resident Evil because, of course, originally, before Paul W. Sanderson was handed that project, it was going to be done by George Romero, and his screenplay essentially was just a movie version of the game story, the first game story. So, but there's a lot of fans. You'll find a lot of fans on the online who will say, "Well, why the hell didn't they do that movie? That would have been so much better." And it's always, well, maybe it could have been interesting, but essentially, like, is it? Are you going to benefit from that, really? So, or is that whole thing about like what we're talking about right now? Is the image, is the entire genre going to benefit from that? Is it going to get any better if we just make it like that? And honestly, I don't feel like that way either. I do feel like it would be nice to see like very familiar elements of the game, but be an exact retelling. Perhaps no, unless it's like very like distinct elements of the story. But Amuia, do you have more that you want to say to this? Or was it that?
Basically that's it. But I do agree that that video game movies should, in some cases, follow like the basic story, but feel free to take their own freedoms with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is I feel that way. Well, I have it on the list, but I do have to say it's part of a broader topic. I think I'll save that for a little while. Like, Cendoo, T-McBee, do you have something to add to this?
Wow. Yeah. So the good stuff's been said.
Okay, but do you have something that hasn't been said yet?
Well, in my opinion, it's kind of going off what Joe said. A video game adaptation, the worst thing they can do is try to retell an existing story.
All right.
But that doesn't mean it has to be like a direct sequel or anything. It could just be the same settings, same characters, etc., but on a sort of a separate chapter. I think that would make it much easier to write a good film and also appeal to fans.
That's a good point about appealing to fans. But do you feel that the movie is, or this is actually a general question for everybody, do you feel like the game or the movie would be, how would I say, crippled a little bit if knowing the game is essential for even enjoying it in the first place. Because
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, because this way it is the same character, same backstory, but with it being its own independent story, non-gamer people could enjoy it as well.
Yes.
But if you're asking me, yes, it's like sequels or adaptations. One big flaw is if you can't watch them by themselves.
Yeah.
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah. So you feel that the movie has to stand on its own as well.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and I agree with him on that as well. If a movie you have can't stand on its own, that's a problem of writing, not the fact that it's an adaptation. You can adapt anything into a movie, and if you write it right, is how it will work.
I mean, yeah, it's like The Last Airbender. I wasn't a diehard fan of that cartoon like Joe was, but when I saw the movie, I thought it was boring, and I didn't know what was going on half the time. It really doesn't stand on its own at all.
All right. We're really like getting to the meat of the business here. I'm happy.
Well, what did you expect? Seriously.
All right, T-McBee, what do you have something you specifically want to add to this?
Well, it's basically what Amuia said about, finding passionate people to work on, stuff on this, for films based on video games. But and you got to have creative people who have the skills to make the movies, and not to mention, smart writers, smart directors to actually direct, this kind of movie, to not appeal to the fans, but also appeal to a, casual audience too. How you guys were talking about, retelling the story that happened in the first game or something like that, like Resident Evil or something like that. But maybe not everybody is not a Resident Evil fan. So maybe they don't know the story of the Resident Evil and how it started. So you got to appeal to people who aren't even video gamers themselves. So I think maybe that's the thing with these movies, that they need to find a way to focus it to a universal audience than just the gamers. So I think
that's I guess it's the great irony that Romero basically was going to make just a straight adaptation of the game, but then Capcom themselves felt like, well, people who don't know the game, they're not going to care. So they decided, well, let's make a movie that's basically like a prequel to the events of that, and they made an original, all original characters and things like that. And then there was a lot of angry people, lots of people that liked the movie, but then a lot of angry people who said, well, this movie sucks because doesn't have any characters from the games. And then basically Anderson's been apologizing it in every single movie by adding another character from the games, usually with no real purpose to the story, because ultimately, if you like those movies, and not everybody likes them, I recognize that, but if you do like those movies, I think you like them mostly because of the storyline of Alice, who was the character who was there from the very beginning, and not the tag-along video game character that they threw in to appease the fans. So, yeah.
Yeah, but also it's the same thing for anime. If you're going to work on an animated movie based on a video game, and it has to be in the same lines too. You got to find people who have skills, who are passionate, who are creative to, make an animated movie based on a game, become, appealing. Like I mentioned about me, someday seeing the Ratchet and Clank movie someday, and maybe even the Sly Cooper movie. And it's a good thing that they're doing it in animation. So rather than,
also an animated movie with a story that makes some kind of sense. Do you feel?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because they have more. Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead.
No. Finish what you're saying. I was just gonna say.
Joe mentioned about how stupid the story of Advent Children was. And also, I'm not a huge fan of the first Pokemon movie, also because I feel the story of that one was just terrible.
You know what's funny?
But that's a problem. And that's a problem more with the story than it is with the transition from a game from the original medium into a new medium.
Yeah.
Personally, I think you can take an existing character and write a good original story with him.
Yeah.
I can't recall any characters who are set in stone with what they are allowed to do.
Yeah.
Or do you know what? It can also be the same way for video games too. I mean, for changing things up a bit. And I feel like in the movies, with the like writing based on games is pretty much in the same category too. Like for example, Infamous. Like the new game has a different character than the one it originally had for the PlayStation 3. So I feel like in any medium, things will like change up and trying to appeal to anybody. That's all I have to say for it. I don't know if it makes any sense, but.
All right.
That's all.
Well, you made perfect sense in my view, and
yeah. And I just want to say one more thing.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say one more thing.
Okay.
I do feel that something else that's on the rise right now, if you notice, is movies based on books, and I feel that they should be the same way as you can appreciate the source material and the movie itself on two different levels, and they do tell a similar story, but they're both good in their own right.
Yeah, well, novels have always been very popular, like ever since like the birth of film, essentially, like as sources of adaptations, and like long ago, like plays were regularly like. It's funny that we kind of live in this era where we kind of moan and groan about the situation where every other movie is an adaptation of like a book, a comic, or a video game. But then like in the early, I don't know, 1900s, something like that, like everything was either based on a book or a play. So It was just like replace play with comic book, and it's a situation.
I should have rephrased it to say young adult.
Okay, yeah.
Hey,
are on the right.
Well, sort of jumbled in there. I've got a bit of a question here.
Yep.
The Incredibles 2, that's going to be a real thing, right? And yes, I have a point, trust me.
Yes.
Eventually.
Well, the thing is,
they're too busy giving Larry the Cable Guy movies.
Anyway, what I'm saying is because back then, on the PlayStation 2, there was an Incredibles game that took place after the movie. So
I played it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, is that storyline going to be canon towards the sequel? Or
I don't know.
Well, that's sort of another thing about making a game off a movie, have it take place afterwards instead of retelling. What do you think about that, Mr.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you do make a good point there. Like, it can be like sometimes when people make a game based on a movie, it's not like a retelling of the movie. It's actually something else, or it's pretty much in the same position, but they add different features to it.
Cross-media adaptations. Cross-media adaptations like that, they're a little, they definitely like have a bit more, I guess, more wiggle room. But there's also the thing with, let's say, a video game based on a movie, is that if they make a sequel to something, then they basically have the right to kind of retcon it into oblivion, basically.
It's like the Spider-Man games. They did technically retell the story of the movie, but they also added a whole bunch of content, which made it stand on its own. Like Spider-Man 2, many consider one of the best superhero games of all time.
Yeah.
Why does everyone go silent when I talk?
You made us all very ponderous and pensive. So
what the heck does that mean?
They mean the same thing, but but yeah, it's but yeah, you make a fair point. You make a fair point about that. And that's another, this is all going kind of back to what Joe said, is like, should they just kind of stand as their own entities, or do they kind of become part of the, because, there's canon, and then there's like the general franchise, I guess is the word I'm looking for, and things in that, like, as time goes by, they kind of pile up and might lead to other things being created. So it's kind of at least adding to, like, the greater, I don't know, the greater franchise of the thing, but yeah, ultimately, like, it's going to be up to whoever is doing the next big movie or comic or whatever to kind of, it's up to them to then kind of go look back and at the stuff that they have and think like, okay, what parts of this are going to go into this movie or whatever that I'm working on.
Yeah, and to kind of answer to that one, to use a good example of what he's referring to, the Star Wars franchise, after the first 6 films, there's been a bunch of books that for a very long time were considered part of the canon, the expanded universe. But now that they're going to be making episodes 7, 8, and 9, they've already gone and said that those books aren't going to count towards these new movies.
Yeah, they did a big friggin' retcon of that. But they also kind of they tried to put a little silver lining on it that I think that they said that those Star Wars media may be used as a source of like inspiration for future Star Wars things, so that they're not gone completely. I mean, we kind of
it's very possible that we're gonna
put them in the warehouse from the Raiders of the Lost Ark, but we might dig up something in the future.
Right, or we might end up
since
J.J. Abrams is the ones directing the new Star Wars. Maybe they'll do like what they did with the Star Trek film and just send Luke Skywalker all them back in time and redo all the. Oh, that'd be awesome! Do a reboot of episode 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure that they'll do that. But
hey, I can dream, can't I?
Quick tangent here, just really quickly.
Yes.
They have started making their own. Ever since Disney bought it, they have announced that they're going to start making their own stuff. They've announced at least 3 different Marvel comics that are coming that actually sound pretty good if you look at who's involved and you're into comics. So there's my little comic Star Wars moment. Back to the subject.
No, that's a good point that, retcons will never stand in the way of money making and franchising. So, that's a fair point. I mean, I don't know. I didn't have anything to go on after that. T-McBee, were you just laughing really loudly, or did you have something to say?
Oh, no, I was laughing.
Really loud. Okay.
Yeah, just laughing loud. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you for being you.
Okay. Well, maybe moving on to my next topic, which still relates to this. Like, this is kind of what my take on this. What could be done for video game movies to become better in the long run? And we've said a lot of things that I personally agree with very, very much. Though, like that, there needs to be passion. The movies need to stand as their own entities, and a lot of other things that we've said that But there is something, I think, a very, very basic step that could be taken to help a lot of video game movies. Because I personally have no problem myself with a video game movie adaptation taking lots of liberties with the source material in the path of making it into a functioning motion picture. But there is one thing that really should be done a lot more often, and I feel honestly when you look at certain video game adaptations that they don't do that, even ones I like. And this is something I like to call evoking the game. And it's something like very, very basic. Like once they have kind of decided who's going to direct this thing, and now we have a script, now we have the actors cast, and now we're going to start building sets and things, like all the pre-production-y stuff that goes into a movie. Like, at that point, I think there should be a phase where they kind of look at all the stuff that they already have, and before moving on, they should look at it and think, like, does this still feel like Super Mario Brothers? Or does this still feel like Street Fighter? Or does this still feel like Pac-Man? Or, basically, just look at something like if a character has a signature costume, maybe have them wear it in the movie at some point, just to kind of acknowledge it. Is there a certain setting that's kind of very evocative of the game? Because if those basic things are missing, like they are in a very rushed production like a Uwe Boll shindig, where the best that they could muster was give Til Schweiger an Hawaiian shirt in Far Cry. So... and then they have the rest of the movie in basically a wood mill or sawmill.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and with the evil scientist and gene manipulated soldier and every other action movie cliche from the past 25 years. Then basically, like you need to have that point where you kind of look at the material though and think like, okay, I'm not feeling the game in this anymore. And that's something like I think certain movies have done, it can be subtle. Like you don't have to hammer the thing over the head with it. Like a movie that actually did go that route of hammering it a little too much was the second Silent Hill movie, Revelations.
All right.
Where they basically just made the main heroine. Spoiler alert, if you didn't see the first Silent Hill, it's the girl from the first movie, but as a teenager. But they basically made her look like the character from the third game, fine. But then the rest of the story was a huge sequel with a capital S. Let's just bring it all back, and not do it as well as the first time around. So.
Not to mention, it felt like, well, I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen people review it, and it was terrible for most people. But it was pretty. It looked like it was pretty much a retelling of the third game. But
a little bit, yeah, maybe a little bit.
But it had a few things changed, or actually many things changed now once I think about it. So yeah, and also another funny fact is that a friend of mine actually met one of the special effects person that worked on,
Oh yeah, I think you mentioned this. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did.
In your comment of my review for the film, where I think I pointed out all the basic flaws of the film, but I also kind of mentioned that I did enjoy it as a stupid monster movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it with you and using the word stupid?
I mean, it's okay for a movie to be stupid. Just be honest about it. So, in my view, don't pretend that you have something big to say and drag the movie out to over 2 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
But I like doing that. Didn't you see my movie? This movie is just 3 words long.
Were you surprised on how a lot of people who worked on a movie would, they can't say it during the production, but of course they can say it afterwards, how their experience was either good or shitty. So, and because you can't say
that's kind of part of the business again. But yeah, it really changes. I'm sure there are some people that will smile and say good things about the movie and then be silent for the rest of their life about it. And then there are other people who are kind of weird like that, this is a polarizing figure if there ever was one. But Paul W. Anderson, weirdly enough, he doesn't shy away saying oh no, we Alien versus Predator. We had the worst first day of shooting in the history of the first day of shootings. But it's different. It depends how much the studio's banking on, I guess, the the appearance, how good, the thing is. It turned out, after the fact that, on Terminator Salvation, that, who was the main star of that? Batman, Christian Bale, yeah.
Yeah, Christian.
He had basically had, a massive meltdown on set, and it only came out, much later on.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody knows about the meltdown. The Bale meltdown.
Yeah, but that was just because somebody filmed it and then decided that, okay, now I need to show to the world that Christian Bale can be a real asshole. But yeah, it's what people take from the making of a movie ultimately is their personal take. I'm sure not everybody enjoys everything they do in the film industry, but it's kind of up to them, basically, the long run, what they want to say about it.
Right.
Good.
This is a whole big topic. I don't want to really get into.
We're going very broad with it.
Let's go back to evoking the game in video game movies. What do you guys feel about this? How do you guys feel about this?
I have no strong opinion one way or the other. Just kidding.
Is there a video game movie, where you felt that the movie failed to evoke the game?
That's a good question.
Cendoo?
Super Mario Brothers movies.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like doing the absolute bare minimum, which is to have the Mario and Luigi in their costumes.
Yeah.
And everything else is wrong.
Oh yeah. Oh, big time.
Oh man, that's another weird one. Do you know how actually the people who did that movie got the rights to do it?
They said they wanted it in a card game?
No, the head of the production company, he went all the way, out of his own pocket, paid, to go to Japan, to Nintendo's headquarters, and, basically just begged for them to let them do the movie. So.
And when he did, he eventually got kicked off the project and replaced with someone else.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow.
They had 5 writers, I think.
Oh, yeah, I know about that. And then Annabelle Jankel and Rocky Morton, they had their whole dinosaur fixation, which they basically forced onto the movie. And yeah, but it's weird, that somebody cared. Somebody wanted there desperately to be a Super Mario Brothers movie, so much so that out of their own pocket paid to go and talk to Nintendo face-to-face about it. Got the rights, and then...
Lost it.
Then it went, and it was basically downhill from there.
Yep.
But we do have to say that
You know,
have to give it kudos because we wouldn't have video game movies today if it wasn't a success.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's nothing so terrible has been come out of any motion picture that there hasn't been some good to have come out of it as well.
Yeah.
So,
except for that one movie Joe was forced to watch.
oh, which one was that?
I'd rather not say.
Okay.
Joe doesn't like to think about
You
it,
get
do
angry?
you?
I'm sorry, what?
He said there's never been a movie
I
so
see.
bad that
Okay,
nothing good
that's-
came of it, and I said except for that one you were forced to watch. Remember?
Oh, yeah, right.
Class?
The one in my film class, there was a movie, and it stands to be not only my least favorite movie, but it's also the only movie I've ever watched that I actually wish I could physically forget.
And what was that?
Well,
That's not.
It's this really terrible French art film.
oh no.
Trust me, you do not want to know.
You don't want to know.
All right.
But
This
I'll save talking about it because I want to make a top 8 of my least favorite films of all time.
All right.
Okay.
So,
I
I'll
know
leave
I know the movie. I read the preview of the plot, and I was kind of like, no.
Okay.
All
You'll
I can
see.
say is that everyone in the class after the movie was dead silent, and I even saw a guy in a wheelchair running to get out the door. It was that bad.
Guy in a wheelchair ran. Wow.
Well, he hurried out the door is what he should.
It's a miracle.
This movie is so bad it made the guy walk.
That's not funny. Come on.
I know. That was no, but it was just the movie's answer, like how he said it. I'm sorry. I'm so
It made
sad.
the lame walk.
Ah. Okay. Enough about the lame
The blind
miraculously
see.
walking. What about evoking the game in a video game movie? Do you guys feel have strong feelings about this?
I don't know. It's really hard to say since, like I said before, I don't really watch these kinds of movies. But
Okay.
all I need to say is, something needs some improvement. And we did
Right.
see some slight improvements, and that's all. That's my 2 cents right there.
All right. You did see the Doom movie though. Have you ever actually played Doom, the video game?
No, but I've heard people talk about it and such,
Oh, okay.
so I'm quite familiar with it. Not too familiar, but the thing is with Doom, like,
Did you feel like
Can you
cheated?
react-
Did you feel cheated that hell was not actually a thing in the movie? Because in the world of Doom, the video game, of course, the creatures come from hell.
okay,
Whereas in Doom they took an approach of it being the evil scientist that created the monsters, which led some movie critic, and I forget who it was, but to declare that Doom was basically Resident Evil in space. So
You know what? Now that you think about it, yeah, they did mention a lot of science stuff in the Doom movie,
Yeah.
and it's funny because my sister hated it because it wasn't accurate because she knows
Yes.
sciences, so that's why.
yeah,
and
it's all movie science is a whole different bag of chips, but.
yeah,
But like the fact that they completely left out the idea that in the game that they accidentally open a gateway to hell and all these creatures come through, and that was like the basic premise. In the movie, like the most that they ever did is they made a lot of they talked about like facing your inner demons and going to Mars, it's gonna be hell and stuff like really 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 subtle and dancing around the whole topic, and then at most that it got was that there was one very religious side character who gets killed in the film, and before
Spoiler.
sorry well
Boy,
that movie has a body count, so I don't think I'm spoiling too much, but
Yeah.
it seems like they just kind of danced around that topic as if they were worried that there was some religious group that was going to get a shit fit and boycott the film or something like that, and it seems really really odd. There seems to be no good reason to leave that very, certain things like I can understand, like if they didn't have the exact same evil corporation, if it wasn't Mars, if it was like the moon or something like that, but not the most basic things. Like in Doom, you could not walk five steps without seeing a pentagram somewhere on a wall because there was this. It was very tongue in cheek, but like the Satan element of it, satanic element of it. That was kind of also part of the horror atmosphere. So do you feel that it failed to invoke the game in that way?
Well, I guess in that you mentioned about it, I guess so. Yeah, even though I'm not extremely familiar with it, but I don't know, and it was kind of boring too. Like, I don't know, I found it not that interesting. But I guess that's just my taste in movies. I guess like it's just I don't know. Like there was just some execution in that movie that I felt like there was something missing. The only thing I liked that, they actually there was one scene where they actually went in first person view, just like in the game. So that's the only selling point of that movie. And like,
that's another dumb monster movie, definitely. But it loses something definitely in the mix for leaving that very incremental part out of it. I mean, I can enjoy it because I can enjoy it as a kind of, again, as a dumb monster movie. Strangely, I think it actually better invokes the movie Predator than it does the Doom video game.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there are certain like very obvious parallels, but
oh yeah.
Yeah.
But without spoiling anything, there was a nice twist to that movie.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I did like about it. I'm a sucker for like dramatic plot twists, and that one had like the biggest one ever. Which I don't know. I don't think that bears discussion. But basically, we've established the point that it did. That's one example of where I think they pussied out of actually like putting the very incremental part of the video game into the movie, and it suffered because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all there was nothing else I could say. And it's been years since the last time I watched it, so I don't remember too much of it.
I've actually done a feature-length commentary on it on my second channel, but it's for the extended version, so it's, if you have the movie and you don't mind me talking all over it, so you can go check that out, but just bear in mind that it is for the extended edition, and also PAL, NTSC, things like, if that's an issue, there might be some sync, like in the latter parts of the movie, there might be some sync issues. But anyway, that's me going off a little point, and also whoring my stuff a little bit, if you will. But
it is your podcast.
Yeah, sorry. Amuia, do you feel there's been a video game movie that was particularly bad? And I guess, does somebody have a video game movie that you felt did actually a good job in invoking the video game?
Well, I don't know about bad, because honestly I think the worst cases have been said already, but kind of like the Chung-Li movie maybe, but
Yes, that's actually, you brought up a good point, and I talked about it in the review a lot. But yes, that movie's biggest problem, small steps, there's so many like small things they could have done to make that movie at least like decent to kind of good, and there's so many things holding it back. There's so many things, and like that, the fact that none of the characters look anything like from the video game, Bison in particular.
Yeah. I will say though that one good one that I think is a decent movie that actually does bring the feel is the Tomb Raider movies.
Yeah.
That is, and I think it's not just that Angelina Jolie is in short shorts and a top. It's also it's especially for me, it's the scene with the giant statue. Like that brings to mind like a boss fight from Tomb Raider. Basically, like that's a very, very strong point.
And her going up against those stone lion things.
Yes. That I think is a perfect example. It's something very simple, but it makes up a good chunk of the movie, and it also like invokes the video game all in one, and it's still enjoyable to watch. Like you don't have to shoehorn in. Like the Chun-Li movie is another good example. A lot of the writing about explaining like why the characters are in Bangkok, Thailand, because that's a location from the Street Fighter movies and things like that. Like stupid, pointless things that you shoehorn in to kind of seem like, oh, I know the video game, but nobody cares.
And her kick move, her spinning kick.
The spinning kick move, well, that wasn't really explained in any way. It just kind of happens.
Well, I just mean, adding to what you're saying, that they shoehorn that into.
Shoehorn, yeah, but I think that it comes to me. It comes as more like a delightful surprise. Like at that point, I was so like, ugh, like this movie just keeps going on, and like, yes, that I recognize. That was cool. Moving on. All right. Mortal Kombat, I think, is like probably the ultimate one, isn't it? The one that did succeed in invoking the game, albeit like doing away with certain things. Like it wasn't as gory as the video game, but it had all the key characters, and most of them looked exactly the way they did from the video game, and it had the same basic plot as the video game, but it moved along well as a kind of a martial arts movie as well. So
prove it.
So you didn't have to prove it. Prove it. $125 million at the box office. There. But
I'll take a check.
But I mean, it stood the test of time. Like you ask Mortal Kombat fans, most will agree that was a very good movie to screen adaptation. And then in the second movie, they repeated, well, not repeated, but they did kind of some of the same problems as with the Chun-Li movie, was that they didn't override it as much, but they just kind of shoehorned so much from the games into it without any explanation, and just kind of forgot about everything else. Like, it's kind of a shoddy movie.
Where did the term shoehorn come from?
I think
when you got these shoes, and they're kind of tiny for your feet, you use this implementation called a shoehorn. That you kind of force your way into there. But then it kind of like, force, I guess, is the alternative. But I like shoehorn because...
Boy, you can't explain anything without an accent.
That's comedy, you see. That's humidity. You gotta have humidity in this business.
Really?
That was a match game joke, sorry.
Sorry, I wouldn't even get that either.
Okay, but do you guys feel that that's at least one thing, that's one very basic thing that they could do with a lot of video game movies, just to evoke the video game a little bit better, and not just kind of stamp the name on something? Because I think that was one of the reasons, one of the problems behind Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, which in my view is a good movie. But because nobody sees it as having anything to do with Final Fantasy, with the Final Fantasy movie games. The games don't have, except for the direct sequels, they don't have a continuous storyline or anything. Like, each installment is its own thing. Like, I think in that case, it's actually very faithful to the spirit of the game. But yes, it's a little bit more science fiction-y than fantasy and all that things. But a good movie. I like it. I like it a lot, but... Yeah. But it didn't start off as a Final Fantasy movie, and then at the last second, Square just decided, oh crap, nobody's gonna care that we made this beautiful CG animated movie. Let's put Final Fantasy in the title, and it turned out to be a disaster.
What was that all about?
Yeah, it was like originally a completely unrelated to Final Fantasy, an animated movie, which is something that I think it's a movie that it becomes a lot better when you consider the fact that it's supposed to be a science fiction drama, whereas I remember when they showed the advertisements and things like that, they were kind of marketing it off almost like an action movie, and I think that too led to the disappointment that a lot of people had with it, that people thought it was boring, and then the other side of it that didn't seem to have anything to do with Final Fantasy. Because I think a lot of people, when they heard Final Fantasy movie, instantly thought, oh, it's going to be Final Fantasy VII as a movie adaptation. Of course it wasn't. That would have been stupid. But
7 wasn't even the best one, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it's the one that everyone talked about. Like, it's if you knew in the late 90s, if you know anything about Final Fantasy, I think everybody knew FF7 because it just exploded in a big way, like in a completely different way. Or maybe this is my European bias thing again, because the Final Fantasy games weren't that big over here on the Super Nintendo. So I don't know. Maybe
actually it's the same thing here.
Yeah, but
Ernie Stoller in charge of advertising for the Sega Saturn.
Yeah, but you forget that in North America, the SNES games, they kept on coming much later than they did in Europe.
Yeah, they got 1, 2, 3, which was actually 1, 5, and 6. No, 1, 4, and 6.
Yeah, it's confusing. Let's just move on.
But
now the re-releases fixed that.
I was very confused about the movie when it had the title Final Fantasy. I mean, I liked it, but I was very confused about the name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely. I'm not saying it's a movie that everyone should kind of go into with renewed vigor in the knowledge that it wasn't supposed to be a Final Fantasy movie at all. I'm sure there's lots of people who find it legitimately boring because they're not into that kind of movie. Like, it's definitely not for everyone. But I think it's a movie that was heavily misjudged when it first came out.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even friends of mine who are big on Final Fantasy, or maybe, I don't know, I haven't talked to them for a while, and they would criticize that movie, even though the first time I watched it, I thought it was interesting. I didn't love it or hate it, but I was kind of in between about it the first time. But then again, I was like maybe 12 or 13 the first time I saw it, so like...
Oh, yeah. And I definitely I had a bad reaction to it, and I wasn't even a Final Fantasy fan when I first saw it. But because I'd been kind of brainwashed by that whole marketing thing with the advertisements, thinking that it was going to be like a sci-fi action thing, and then it wasn't, and I thought it was boring. And then only much later when I saw it again, and I realized, oh my god, this is a drama film. That's why I felt so like that. And then after that, I was able to appreciate it a bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
I gotta see that someday. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
See Hannu freak out.
Okay.
Freak out.
Okay. I guess we've covered this topic again, unless somebody else still has something to say about evoking the game stage of making a video game movie. No?
I think they shouldn't have the same
because,
name, but rather just simply strongly imply.
Okay. Then
And
I'll move to something, because everybody seems to have something to say about this movie, Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph. But Wreck-It Ralph and but I've worded this very carefully because I want to get a reaction from you guys, and I want you to comment on this. The topic that I wrote down, past tenses are difficult, wrote down in my list was Wreck-It Ralph is the Disney version of Resident Evil. Now, let me explain.
All right, guys, let's get.
Please do so.
Yes.
All right, guys, let's.
We talked about this about video game adapting a video game into a film. But then, what about films that are based on video games but not on a specific video game? And this is something I had a huge problem with when Wreck-It Ralph. When I finally saw Wreck-It Ralph, I liked it. I liked the movie. I really, really liked it. Well, really, it's going a little bit too far. I thought it was a good movie, but immediately I was having this kind of a moral dilemma discussion inside my head. Like, is this really a video game movie, though? Because it felt to me like the story in its own, it didn't need the video game trappings to be told. I think it would have stood on its own, and like the level of like video gaminess felt a little superficial to an extent. I mean, sure, some video game characters play roles in it, like Qbert plays a role in it, and then there's the the villain support group and things like that. That's a nice little in-joke in there. But essentially, nothing about that was very video game related. Now, why am I drawing attention to Resident Evil? Well, I'm drawing attention to the first movie. The first movie also went very, very light on like taking anything from the Resident Evil game. I like the movie a lot, but the only thing that was really from the game, Umbrella Corporation zombies, the zombie dogs, the liquor, and then the cast were all original characters, original to the film. But then I remembered something that they do, however, although original, they do, however, reflect common archetypes of characters present in the game series, which suddenly made me think differently about Wreck-It Ralph. Okay, they're not like characters from the game, but they're very like strong archetypes being kind of reinterpreted on screen. So do you feel like that way, that a video game movie doesn't necessarily have... We established again before that video game movies don't need to be direct, or should probably not be direct translations of the story of a video game into a movie, but is it okay to be on that kind of an abstract level where you're taking the archetypes of the game and themes from the game, and you're turning that into a movie, or are you just kind of losing the audience as a result of it?
Good question. I guess it can be a bit of both, depending on how you present it, pretty much. I mean, with Wreck-It Ralph, like I mentioned before, like, I personally think, like, I thought, like, after I watched the film, it seemed like it was like a movie about, like, the video games, like, about video games in general, just more of a general topic to me, rather than just, a movie based on a game. I'm getting all my words all mixed up all of a sudden. Yeah. So, so I guess maybe it's just like you said, Hannu, it's the more about the archetypes that they throw in a lot of video game jokes, but also throw in like Easter eggs in there too, like for Wreck-It Ralph, like how you have the cameo characters like Sonic and Q-Bert, and also like they even have like a Easter egg of like there's one scene, I won't spoil it, but it's kind of like it had a controller, a Nintendo controller, and it did a code, like like this character like pressed the buttons, and it's actually a code to like a game from Street Fighter. So it was supposed to be like an insight, like a Easter egg for that.
Yeah.
So I think they throw in like more archetypes and like maybe just the things of what you expect in video games into its kind of own storytelling. Like, like the glitches and all that kind of stuff. Whereas, a game based on a video game just tells like a story that's based on that franchise.
Mario and Luigi Save the Princess.
Yeah, there we go. There's another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Mario.
I guess that's all I have to say about that. About that kind of topic. Like, what else can you go further unless somebody has a better answer for that?
Yeah, another aspect to kind of throw into this is kind of thinking about the Silent Hill movie, where the plot is basically the plot of the first game. I mean, it doesn't like get into the fine nitty-gritty details, but the idea that it's a parent looking for their lost child in a haunted town, which has these horrific monsters, and those are directly from the games. But then, a decision that the director made was to change the parent from like in the game it was the child's father into mother, because he felt that was somehow more on point, perhaps a little bit as an interpretation. And I still think it works just as fine, with regardless of the gender of the parent. But it kind of brings the point is that more abstract level of adapting a video game story, okay. So does anybody else have something to say about this?
I guess I'll just say I agree, but you got to think about it this way. Good movies are good movies no matter what. So my point being that as long as the final product is good, I don't care if they take liberties like Silent Hill. But as for stuff like Wreck-It Ralph, yeah, video games are part of our culture. So they've more and more evolved, and now they're a serious part of our culture where we'll actually have like video game tournaments and countries dedicated to video games. I mean, just look at StarCraft 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, they're in tears. It comes out.
But,
you know what? He does make a good point because, video games have become very big these days compared to, like, 20 years ago.
Yeah, so it's surprising that, it's not surprising that we'd have movies that were just about video games, but no specific video game. Kind of like Wreck-It Ralph, but Wreck-It Ralph also managed to get the feel of video games and add Easter eggs. But I just want to bring up really quickly another movie. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about it, called Stay Alive.
Stay Alive.
Is that the sequel to Saturday Night Fever?
No, it's a horror movie.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking about Staying Alive. Wow. That was wow. Couldn't have been further away.
I wouldn't have known about this without the reviewer of Good Bad Flicks. I think that's the name of the show. Okay. But it's a horror movie. Most popular person in it is Frankie Muniz, Malcolm in the Middle. But basically what it is it's a horror movie, and the basic plot about the thing that jumpstarts everything is these characters are playing a video game, and then slowly as the movie goes on, they start to die as their characters did.
Oh,
and the game that they're playing is very reminiscent of Resident Evil, but it's not any established video game.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, there's especially like to that group of people who always do go on and on about like how the movie adaptations ruin the video game, they don't because they're not the direct adaptation of the story and things like that. Like I mean, it seems to me like those people aren't really like even like giving much thought to the whole idea that, you know, maybe it's not just, you know, that so and so is kind of exactly like it was in the game, but that maybe the idea behind it is there. I mean, it can get a little muddied and vague, like with the Doom movie, for instance, like where it kind of loses the meaning of the original game a little bit, which was pretty like ridiculous and over the top to begin with, but then, you know, maybe it's on a different level of dumb and ridiculous where it becomes kind of awesome. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever floats your boat. I guess it's how people just, you know, like see a movie, I guess, and such. And also, you got to think about like sometimes it's like what we said about, you know, directors of how they present these movies sometimes on how you know, they're not too, like, they want to stay true. It's either they want to stay true to the material, but sometimes, you know, are hesitant about adding maybe something else or taking something away, or, you know, or maybe just putting something even more bizarre things into the mix. Like, I don't know, because I don't know. It's yeah, okay, I'm pretty much done with this. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna just slabber the same crap over and over. You get the idea.
Yeah. One thing that perhaps bears the discussion is perhaps, well, I've talked about Street Fighter for a while. Let's finally talk about the to bring into this conversation the live action movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme from 1994, which was essentially, if you wanted to be a little mean, it would be like Die Hard with Street Fighter characters, because it was the screenwriter of Die Hard that did it. So it's a hostage flick with Street Fighter characters in it, but every single like decision writing wise to change so and so character into so and so character was kind of motivated based on that these characters had to somehow their presence in the film had to be somehow justified, and we lose some elements, but we also keep certain elements in there, like Ryu and Ken in the movie. Still kind of the same dynamic that they have in the games, but that they're also con men gun dealers who sell fake guns.
Yeah.
And well, Bison's an evil mastermind. That's pretty accurate. Guile is an army guy with a grudge against him. That's pretty accurate. Chun-Li has a grudge against Bison, but because it's a military setup, she's not an Interpol agent, but instead a news reporter who kind of tries to slip through the system in order to have a shot at her revenge against him, and everything else follows suit. So, is that kind of? Do you feel that's where you're losing something incremental to the video game, or do you feel that no, that's something you do have to do when you when you decide that you're going to tell a different story with these same characters? Or do you feel that Street Fighter is just a poor example of this to bring up?
I don't know. Some people may like this movie from what I've heard, and some people are just rather about it.
Well, I liked it. I liked it enough to put it on my top 10 video game movies list of all time. And I'm not going to deny that nostalgia wouldn't have had a part in it. Did I say that correctly? Yes, yeah. Nostalgia had a part in it, but I also think it actually is a good, fun action movie. But which does change things from the games. I'm not denying that, and not always for the best. But like I understand the motivations behind the changes, and therefore I don't judge them as harshly as some Street Fighter fans, particularly the ones who prefer the animated movie over it, which doesn't make sense to me, because again, I like the human story, I like the development of that, which the animated movie is completely lacking, in my opinion.
No, that's understandable, because
it's not really a movie, is it? It's a 60-minute fan service fest.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned about it, even the Bayonetta movie was kind of like that too. Like there was like pretty much a lot of fan service around as well. But at least it was kind of true to its source material as well, because Bayonetta, like I said, is a very over the top game. It doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
And it's just like Bayonetta just shooting shooting like angels and stuff, like ages, because of like some history with some witches and the sages together, and she's a witch too. So, but at least they kind of bring a story that makes a little more sense to the plot of why like she has amnesia, or how she, like, who is this character that's after her and something like that. So at least it, it tells a story at least, despite the whole fan service stuff and how they see more active stuff and some perverted things. But other than that, it all depends on the audience too, and how people know about these franchises. And if they're very hardcore or want to stay true to its source material, then of course they're not going to enjoy it either way. So it's how some people react to certain things.
Yeah, it's like, I have a problem with those quote unquote movies that are so engrossed in the actual canon of the games. Like, for instance, I don't think I could ever get into the animated Resident Evil movies, because to me, what it looks like is just a feature-length cutscene. So,
oh yeah.
So,
and isn't it all in CGI too?
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, the animated. I said the animated Resident Evil movies. So.
Oh, okay, but I'm saying, like, if the animated,
which are actually, like, as far as I understand, they're actually are part of the canon of the game series. But the storyline of the game series has always been I've been always a little on the fence on. Personally, I just enjoy the mood and atmosphere of the games a bit better than I would enjoy the characters. But I don't know, like, but yeah. Anyway, does anybody else have something to add to this topic, or should we move on?
Well, I just want to say really quickly that I find the original Street Fighter Van Damme movie to be just a fun ride. It's not a great movie, but it's also not a terrible movie. I find it to be a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a movie that perhaps falls prey to a lot of like action movie cliches, and that definitely is one of its big weaknesses. But it's like you said, it's more for the entertainment. It's a fun ride. It's essentially what it was supposed to be, and at least it's although not great, it actually has a story. Oh, did Joe drop from the call?
I've been wondering why you've been silent for a while.
Yeah. Oh no.
No, but I just got the thing.
Uncie's back.
Joe, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, my
okay.
computer just kind of glitched with the with the call.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we still have more to talk about this?
I'm pretty much done. I think I've.
Yeah, Joe, do you have anything to add to this particular topic?
And the topic was, I really didn't have too much. I was just kind of lightly listening in. I was talking about Street Fighter.
The topic was Wreck-It Ralph is the Disney version of Resident Evil. So what we've been talking about is it okay for a video game movie adaptation to have perhaps not such a direct connection to the game, but more on a more abstract level, kind of take the archetypes and elements of it and turn that into a movie?
I think that's kind of more based upon the story you're trying to get across.
Yes.
It's, again, to go back to The Last Airbender, what I think they could have done if they wanted to do a live-action movie is they could have, since anyone who knows the Avatar series knows that it has this consistent character that constantly gets reintroduced with new personalities, new quirks. It's a lot like Doctor Who in that regard, that there's this character that you could constantly follow with new mediums and new stories to tell. It would still have some of the same basic elements and plot lines, but allowing the different characters would allow you to tell your own story in your own way and use the medium of film, which is different than television and different from video games, in a new way or in a more efficient way. And I kind of think that's the same way here, is that certain video games would definitely benefit from, if you introduce or use those elements to explain a new story or to explain the story behind the scenes to better explain why things happen the way they do in the game. You could have prequels, side stories, sequels, and it's far more about introducing familiar concepts into the world.
Yeah. It's but I think we discussed a little bit that it would be better to kind of like at least. I mean, I have a bit of a problem of kind of like anchoring or shackling the movie to the game too heavily because because the dependency of the game on there, like we said before, that the movie should somehow stand on its own. But yes, I also agree with you on the point of the kind of story to tell. Like we mentioned a little bit about Street Fighter and how Street Fighter could basically be seen as being just Die Hard with Street Fighter characters. But yeah, you're right about the kind of stories that are being told. Maybe that's another step towards like what needs to come to in order for our video game movies to get better, is that perhaps we need more variety of stories, more interesting stories. Because I didn't mention this before, but I do think that there's a definite lack of variety in the genres of the types of video game movies that are being made. Many of them, like in the action horror genres, and the stories of that kind of follow suit. Like in a horror movie, you have a body count, a lot of people die. That's about it. That's about the extent of it. And action movies, because they're kind of bankable, I guess that's why so many video game movies drift off to that. But like I want to see like more movies a bit more in the style of like, say, Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, like a drama with a human story where the human conflict is kind of the focal point of the whole thing. So that's one step towards it. And I think like you could, if you have a bit if you're unafraid to take a bit of liberty and kind of have a ballsier take on the source material than is perhaps introduced. Like that's the thing about Silent Hill. Again, spoiler alert, there's a character from the games in the movie who is like an incremental part of the story of the movie and then gets killed off and then gets killed at the end, even though in the games they survived. So and yes, that's what I was trying to say. Is that, type of story, and also having everything kind of stand on its own. Okay.
All right.
But do you still have more, Joe, or was that it?
That was about it.
Okay. Well, I guess then we can move. We're approaching the end of the podcast as far as the topics are concerned. But there's one big one. But I'm not sure we're going to spend a lot of time on this because a lot of people confess that they haven't seen a lot of movies by this person. Uwe Boll is next on my list. Okay. Who actually has seen an Uwe Boll movie? Some Uwe Boll movie.
And
Nobody?
It's gone silent.
Am I the only one?
Because we know it's that bad.
Am I the only one?
I've seen parts, but I've never actually seen an entire, because I can't get through them.
Yeah.
I've watched reviews.
Okay. Phil, let me just rattle off my list. I've seen House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain. What came after that? In the Name of the King, Postal. Far Cry was the last one I think I saw. And that's it. It's been after the fashion. After that, I don't know if there's any point for me to go on then, because I think people have said all that needs to be said about Uwe Boll's movies. I mean, I don't know. Do you want me to rattle on a little bit about Uwe Boll?
A little bit, yeah.
Or we can even join along too, because we know that we've heard tons of stories about him, like wrecking movies based on games. So
it's weird too.
Go ahead.
I've done also feature-length commentaries on 2 Uwe Boll movies. I did one for House of the Dead and one for Blood Rain. So if you, for some reason, have those movies lying around, or I don't know if they're on Netflix or somewhere you can watch them relatively free of any personal charge, then you can also watch my feature-length commentaries on those movies. I'll just say so much as that, Uwe Boll is the kind of film director who... He's actually a really good producer in the sense that he doesn't waste money. And that's about the only compliment I can give him.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't waste money. He makes movies very, very quickly. He has a shoddy, sensibility about him. He has this strange obsession, though, in the post-production of his movies to kind of go the extra mile for some reason to do visual effects right. Which I will admit, some of his movies had really good visual effects. But the point is, he doesn't care so much about... the story that much. He kind of wings it, uses very basic plot lines overall, and generally, I don't think he has any real interest in the video games themselves, but he's definitely founded a niche for himself because he's gathered so much infamy with these movies that that out of sheer morbid curiosity, people will still watch them. So that has led to him creating this little niche for himself. And like the recent development from his movies, like also ones that are not video game related, is that actually at some point he like stopped scripting his movies, and there's a lot of movies that he's done where the actors are literally just ad-libbing their lines. So that's a thing. But yeah, I like watching Uwe Boll movies for a little while because
not everyone can ad-lib.
Yeah, I did like watching his movies for a little while just for the so bad it's good element of it. And a few of his movies actually are like very entertaining in a shitty way. None of them are really good video game adaptations in any way. One movie which by him, which actually, and again I can't say if it actually has any relation to the video game whatsoever, but just for the sheer, for some reason, like this one movie where Uwe Boll buckled down and actually had a competent production crew and really good actors, and it came out with actually a pretty decent movie, was the In the Name of the King movie. But everything else, terrible. Absolutely terrible. Postal, the worst by far. And on Alone in the Dark, which many people say is his worst movie, some people even go so far as to say it's the worst movie ever made. It's not in that level of bad. It's not even the same kind of shoddy level of bad like Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It's just a very, very boring movie. And it's kind of laid out because of the opening narration, which pretty much spoils the whole movie for you from the get-go. But apart from that, the other actors not being very interesting and everything. So, yeah, I guess that covers Uwe Boll for this topic. I knew that it has to be discussed. I guess I have to bring Retro Kaiser and Dorobka in for for a follow-up and talk about Uwe Boll.
Well, this is something interesting. I didn't know that he currently lives in Vancouver right now.
Oh, yeah. Ever since, because he shoots all of his movies in Canada.
That explains the gritty quality of things. I don't know. Sometimes Canadian productions can make gritty quality stuff. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know. Canada has become like in the last 10 years, Canada has kind of become the go-to shooting location for films and television shows because it's cheaper to shoot there than say in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah,
permits and everything are just cheaper.
Well, for sure, yeah.
The only movie that I know he didn't shoot. Well, of course, back when he did German movies, he shot those in Germany. But the only movie that I know for a fact that of his video game movies that he did not shoot in Canada was Blood Rain, which he actually shot in Romania.
Oh.
The land of the vampires. But I do not think he did it for. I do not for a second believe that he did it because to get the genuine vampire vibe. I think he did it just because Europe has a lot of old castles, and so he didn't have to build them for the movie.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I pointed this out also on my commentary for Blood Rain, if you want to check that out. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, but yeah, a lot of things do use Canada. Like if you've ever heard of the upcoming Flash TV show, they film it in Canada.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's. I know in TV it's very popular when it comes to Canadian TV productions. Like they would use Vancouver or maybe sometimes Toronto, depending on the location, like to film scenes over there. So
okay.
Yeah.
And also all the Resident Evil movies, of course. Well, not all of them. I always keep saying all of them, but majority of them were also shot in Toronto. I know the second one was shot entirely. The ending of the first one was shot there, and 4 and 5, I think, were entirely shot. Third one was shot in Mexico, and the first one in Germany, mostly. Ah. But anyway, since we don't have much to go on with the Uwe Boll topic, let's move on to the final topic I have on my list, which is upcoming video game movies.
Ooh.
And whether we're dreading or curious or just, happy about these movies to come out. I'm using a list on my blog. There are probably there are plenty of others probably that I don't have on here, and people are free to point out if I them. But let's go through this list very quickly that I have on my blog because I've been updating it as I come along, but I forget to occasionally do it. But okay, the first one actually on it, you can tell when this was written, was Need for Speed. This was done before, but it came and went. How many of you saw it actually?
Nope, didn't see it.
Nope, not a big fan of car movies.
So Amuia talked about it, but you didn't. You didn't actually see it.
Well, I just meant from the reception, and I was just trying to get a point across. I wasn't talking about the film itself.
This one, according to my blog, should have actually come.
Guys.
Yes.
Well, Yeah, I don't mean to check out early, but my friend's birthday is today, and so I gotta go to.
You gotta go.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Tell them happy birthday for us.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's okay.
Birthday. And
Yeah.
thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, Cendoo.
The
Cendoo.
Hun.
Okay.
Bye, people.
Bye. Okay. All right. So according to my list, like this one should have actually come out already, like in June, but I don't. Well, it's not that surprising. A lot of movies actually judge a cinematic release in Finland. We're kind of up shit creek on these kinds of things. But did anybody see the Heavenly Sword movie?
I don't think that's
it
out
comes
yet.
out here.
It hasn't.
till
Oh, so it's
September.
been delayed. Okay.
It's coming
Yeah.
out this year, but it's not. Well, like I said, but it's not out yet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be animated, and I would want to see it just out of curiosity, but I don't actually know the video game at all.
Too bad I haven't even played it because I've heard some really good things about the game itself.
It's a
But
it's a PlayStation exclusive. That's why I haven't played it. But
Yeah,
anyway, moving on. This is interesting. Agent 47, which is a movie based on the Hitman franchise. It is not a sequel to the Timothy Olyphant movie from 2007. No, it's a completely new reboot with a new, much older star. And I have it marked as 2015 ? Because I don't actually know at what part of it they actually had to change like the leading man or something. Like somebody else was cast and they had to change it. But I don't know at what point the production is going right now. But first of all, did any of you see the first Hitman movie, and are you at all interested in this one?
Nope and nope.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know that much about Hitman, well, except for the whole violent stuff with the Hitman stuff. So, unfortunately, no, I don't think I'm not going to see this one.
I haven't seen the first one, but I will go see this one. And according to Wikipedia, it says that it's going to come out February.
Okay. So yeah, so they probably already shot it. Okay, good. I mean, I'm curious about this. I'm a little sad that I'm not going to be seeing Timothy Olyphant again because I really liked his performance in the first Hitman movie, and I do recommend people see it if they haven't. But yeah, I'm curious. Like, I'm not sure what kind of direction are they going to go, more action or are they going to more story oriented? But I felt like there was a nice, like, slimy storyline to the first Hitman movie. It was really dark. It was a really dark movie, but it was a very well written movie. It didn't feel like a droning experience, which was nice. Yep.
No, I was just saying, yeah.
You were just saying,
Just to be polite and know that I'm listening, so.
Okay. Next movie on my list, it's actually had its name changed twice, and it might even get changed later on because it was originally announced as Resident Evil Rising. Then right now it's known as Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, and it may get changed yet again because that's just the preliminary title. But yes, the sixth in the live-action Resident Evil movie series, and I have it down as 2014/2015, but it's more likely it's going to come out next year because Anderson only just recently finished the script for it. And the only actors that they've confirmed for it to come back are Mila Jovovich and Li Bingbing, who played Ada Wong in the previous movie. And any feelings about that?
I don't know. Once again, not a fan of Resident Evil.
I haven't watched the movies.
I think I watched the first one, but first two, but I have yet to continue watching. But I will say one thing that one of the rumored titles is the final chapter.
Yeah, I just said that. That's what it says.
Well, I just mean
right now in Wikipedia, not Wikipedia, but IMDb. But it
well,
might.
I just mean I think that's kind of interesting that they're thinking about ending it.
Yeah, that's something that they said before actually, that it might not necessarily be like the final, live action Resident Evil movie. I don't think it's going to be, but it's the last movie. In the very least, it's going to be the last movie of the Alice character, because Mila Jovovich has announced that this is going to be like the final Resident Evil she's going to be a part of, which I'm happy about, because I think it's the finale of the story arc is long overdue. Like they announced I love the Resident Evil movies, but what drives me up the wall is the fact that it was supposed to end with the third movie. Like on the webpage for the third movie, before it came out, they were saying like, okay, this is the final chapter of the Resident Evil movie, and then they came back with the fourth film, which was a real like a slap in the face for me. Like what why? And but at the same time, like the thing is that the third movie also cheated you at the end because it didn't have a proper conclusion. It just had an open ending. So, and the thing is, like, Amuia, I do recommend you check out the third movie, though. That was actually a really good one, and it also featured a tyrant at the end, which was like the big thing, because that's kind of the thing that was missing from the first two movies. But yeah, the latter Resident Evil movies after 3, the problem I think with those ones has been that the storyline's kind of been drifting in the wind a little bit, and you know, Anderson himself admitted that he was thinking of like putting a cap on it after the third one, but then he played Resident Evil 5, and that inspired him to do the fourth movie, which fine, okay, you want to keep the thing going, but the fourth movie's story was just super weak, and it was like mostly like a big special effects extravaganza mostly, so I really didn't like that one. The fifth one got, the only reason I'm kind of optimistic about the sixth one is because the fifth one did bring the story back into focus. It's still a little bit in shambles, and I'm kind of curious about how they're going to tie up the loose ends in this movie. So I'm actually excited to see it. The thing I really just hope is that that Anderson does finally like keep his promise and like wrap it up, at least, if not the live action series itself, but wrap up at least at the Alice storyline. Because that's been the reason why I've kept coming back to watch the Resident Evil movies, because that's the storyline that interests me, is what happens to this character. And did I completely forget to ask Joe? Joe, your opinion on this, on the sixth Resident Evil movie?
I'm not a big fan of Resident Evil because, again, it's one of those horror movies. But
yeah. Okay.
So you know. It's a Resident Evil movie.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, the next one on my list, and I think this one too, I don't know where is the production of this going, but there's an Uncharted movie coming, and I got it down as 2014/2015, but isn't it probably like going to be 2015 or something? Do you guys know about this one?
Well,
Wikipedia.
Oh, go ahead, Amuia.
I was just gonna say Wikipedia has slated for 2016.
Wow, so it's really like going later.
Yeah, because there was going to be an Uncharted movie that a lot of people were thinking about, and I think they were going to ask Mark Wahlberg to play Nathan Drake, but I guess he he didn't got out of that idea and didn't want to be part of it or something like that. So I think they're just still trying to find the right people, I guess, to make that movie happen. But and you know what? I think it's sort of an interesting idea to have Uncharted as a film. Like, I think it works better as a movie because, playing the game itself, it's already a movie as it is.
It's kind of like an action. It's kind of like an action adventure thing. Have I misunderstood, or does it have a little bit of like an Indiana Jonesy thing to it?
It's pretty much Indiana Jones mixed with Tomb Raider, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It still has some likable characters, and you can get entertained by the dialogue and cinematics, but it's just the gameplay is just like, oh, you shoot, you climb things, you solve a puzzle, and it's pretty much routinish for the first one. And a lot of people said they liked the second one because they expanded some things, but I feel like it was just the same old stuff. But then again, it's like when you compare 1 and 2, it feels like it's the same, except one of them has like better texturing on the models than the other. So that's how I see it. So people may disagree.
Okay.
I recently got like the trilogy for cheap, and so I'm starting to play through it, and I think it could be good if they get like the right cast and the right people involved. Although right now I think that they say that the set director so far, as of right now, is Seth Rogen.
Really?
Okay.
Interesting. For Drake? For Nathan Drake? Or for directing?
For directing.
For directing. Well, maybe he's younger, so and maybe he had played the Uncharted game, so who knows? Maybe he may have a better understanding.
I mean, I've also only read like thing here and thing there, but they've had a lot of difficulty like nailing down a director and a producer for this. So that's the thing why it's being postponed so much, which is also a little worrisome, because the thing is, like, just because something is announced, a video game movie, I find that a lot of the times I've made an entire top 10 about video game movies that were planned that never happened.
That's true.
So. But they definitely, it seems like they're very determined to get this one done. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll happen. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe I'm definitely gonna go. I'm definitely gonna go see it if it ever comes out, and if it ever reaches here, because I've noticed video game movies in particular are dodging Finland as a cinematic release place, which doesn't make sense to me, because like the last Resident Evil movie wasn't released here theatrically, but like it seems like box office wise they've actually done very well in the Nordic countries. There was a huge fan outcry about that, actually, when it happened, when suddenly the theater chain, the national theater chain over here, like, decided, oh no, we're not releasing it. Like, I don't know what they based that decision on, but yeah, I had to wait for the DVD before I saw it.
I see.
Yeah.
Can you just say something, Amuia?
Well, I was just going to say two more things about the Uncharted movie.
Yeah.
Really quickly.
Okay.
If you've ever heard of the comic series Preacher, which is a really dark comic story.
Okay.
Seth Rogen is also pushing for that to be a TV show. So it's like really dark and horroristic, so it's not typically his usual thing. And also, I believe for the they were not only looking to get Marky Mark as Nathan Drake, but they were also I think they said that they were looking for like De Niro or Pacino to play Sully.
Interesting.
Oh, that could kind of make sense, sort of, if they can get the right look. But
I could tell you who
understand
I want. Nathan Fillion as Nathan Drake and Bruce Campbell as Sully.
Bruce Campbell, oh my goodness, would that even work? Okay, but I'm not. I don't know.
It could work.
Well, if you ever see the TV show Burn Notice, he basically plays Sully.
I'm just interested. It's interesting just what I'm getting out of like Seth Rogen from all this conversation. Like I've never actually like paid him much mind, but he's a pretty cool guy for making these things happen.
Yeah.
And also Mark Wahlberg, I groaned a little bit, but that's just because he was in the Max Payne movie and that one.
I don't.
Great. Yeah.
I think you need someone
I
that's
like
more
Mark
charismatic.
Wahlberg as an actor, but that movie in particular was not his shining moment.
Yeah.
He is not Nathan Drake in my opinion.
Yeah. Hey. All right. Anything else? Does Joe have something to say about Uncharted?
Honestly, it kind of falls into that. For my first statement is that the Uncharted games themselves are very cinematic. So to me, it kind of seems rather pointless to make a movie of Uncharted, since the games themselves are already so reminiscent of an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm a little worried about. Is it might be the overlap, and some people are gonna give the movie shit because of that. But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm interested. I'm definitely like curious about this.
Me too.
Okay. And this one is by the same production group or production company, but this one is completely up in the air right now. The only thing that has been confirmed about it is that there's a script. Metal Gear Solid.
Ooh.
Really?
Yes, but no director attached. At least the last time I checked, but it might have happened already. Nothing attached yet. But it's from the same people, from the Uncharted people. So, what do you think? I personally am kind of excited about that prospect of a Metal Gear Solid movie.
It could work if it's done right.
You know who also wanted to make a Metal Gear Solid movie but was not able to? Uwe Boll.
All right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I did. Yeah, and it was a whole big thing. Like Konami then said that they said it very politely. They said that they were flattered by Mr. Boll's interest, but they were not looking into making a Metal Gear Solid movie at the time. And this was after Blood Rain, so his rep, if you will, was already established at that point.
Yeah. No, but thank God. Yeah, that would have been too much of a mess.
I mean, I am curious about this, but I have no idea, like, who are they going to pick for, like, to play Solid Snake? I mean, I don't want to say that they're setting it up, but like Kiefer Sutherland is now the official voice actor for Solid Snake. Like they changed it from David Hayter a little while ago. So, but I don't know. He doesn't really look the part. So maybe
unless they make him look like the part.
Well, yeah, that too. Like wigs do exist, but also,
and makeup and makeup. Don't forget about the makeup. Gotta look fabulous.
Yeah, if this had happen like 10 years ago, something like that, like my top choice for Solid Snake would have definitely been Viggo Mortensen. But I don't know, how old is he now? I don't remember how old actors are, so he might not be right for the part anymore.
But it's not only the part, like Metal Gear Solid, from what I've looked at, like it's a very it's serious and deep, but also kind of over the top as well, but more of its dialogue. So you have to find the right actors to actually make it deep, epic, but also very I don't want to say campy, but kind of like comedic.
It has a very intentional soap opera feel to it a little bit. Like it is a military soap opera with giant robots and other crazy shit. But I think the elements of a great movie are there. It's only going to come down to, the only problem is I hope it's called Metal Gear Solid, but I hope it's not it's not going to try to be a beat for beat adaptation of that game. Mm-hmm. I'm a little curious because there is actually a whole lot of backstory to Metal Gear Solid, which is the PlayStation game that made the franchise into a household name. But then there's those two other games that came before it, and I think the stories of those are actually interesting enough, and actually more open to expansion rather than Metal Gear Solid, which I think they're going to have to streamline a lot if they're going to do it into a movie. So I'm optimistic, and I really hope that this thing will become a movie. But I'm also a little afraid that there is a big room for this whole thing to kind of go wrong. I mean, they've written the script, so they obviously figured out what story they want to focus on. But like I said, this one is completely up in the air right now. I only put it down because it's so interesting that it caught my eye.
Okay.
All right. Okay, the next one I think some of you will have something to say about. Last of Us.
I know there was going to be some mention about Last of Us because, again, same thing with Uncharted. It's pretty cinematic, the film. So
Ragged Star
said, done by the same developers too. So of course it's.
Well, Ragged Star said something about that she didn't see the point of this becoming a movie because the game experience was so. I think what she said is that she doesn't see how they could take the experience of the game and turn it into a movie. And it's interesting because it has the directors of the game working on it, with Sam Raimi backing it up as a producer. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm curious about this one. The problem I see with it, I think I haven't actually I've been titled about this, but I did mention about the genre issue, the fact that it's going to be a zombie movie in a marketplace that's already oversaturated with zombie movies.
Except I think with this kind of apocalypse kind of stuff, it's a little bit different from what I've heard. So it's not like your typical, Walking Dead kind of scenario.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing that they're probably that's the thing they're probably going to struggle with, is that how are they going to make this stand out from all this other stuff? Because there's only so much you can do with a trailer or promotional things. So yeah,
maybe kind of hint some things, because what I realized, I haven't played Last of Us, but I've kind of seen through people awarding this as their game of the year of 2013, and I think it's more of the environments, or maybe certain shots that they have to find it to make it kind of interesting, because there's actually one scene. I don't know if it's a spoiler, but it's more environmental. It's more of a scenery kind of thing, but there's giraffes. There's giraffes that the two main people interact
We'll win them over with the giraffes. I love that idea, though.
Well, I don't think it wouldn't go over the top something.
Wait, are the animals in Last of Us immune to the zombie thing?
I don't know. That is something that's
very. You haven't played. Shit! I should have had Ragged Star on here.
No. Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't worry, we're all brain farting at this point, but trying to become stable. So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like I guess if they show like something that's like not the typical zombie stuff, maybe it could work.
Okay.
I tell you what, from what I've seen, because I haven't played the game yet, from what I've seen, the way that they could make it different is with like really good makeup effects and just the visual style.
Yeah.
But even though I haven't played the video game yet, I'm still somewhat excited for this. I'm still looking forward to the movie, kind of, if they can do it right.
Yeah.
But I will say that right around Comic-Con week, they did announce that if you ever watch Game of Thrones,
Okay.
the youngest girl that's in it, she was approached. Apparently, she's in talks to play.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I guess we don't have much else to add to this, so we got like 3 more movies here I want to talk about, and I think by then we'll be so tired that we can finally call it for this whole thing.
Yeah.
I'll jump over this next one, and because I want to talk about it in collusion with another one. Like 2 of these are kind of connected. I think you know which 2, but here's one that I actually haven't heard from this in a while now, and I'm actually getting a little worried if it's actually ever going to happen. But there's actually a Warcraft movie in the works.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
I actually been keeping up with this.
Yes. Okay.
It has a script. It has a director. It has a cast. I think that they just finished wrapping up, but they're keeping a tight lid on everything.
Okay. Yeah. But I have it down as 2015, so it's probably going to come out next year then.
They at Comic-Con they had a teaser poster announcing that the official name for the movie is just simply Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
And they released
Never creative.
like a couple. They released a couple posters, but from everything that I've seen, this looks like it could be really good. They even got like a good director attached, and also the story looks like it's going to be origins of this world, kind of, but like the director's take on it.
All right. Yeah. So
Interesting.
Yeah. And on the title though, that's the name of the franchise though. Warcraft, and not, World of Warcraft is just one game in the series. But well, IMDb has it for 2016, so I don't know.
Well,
Who's sorry?
Wikipedia says that it's set for March 11th, 2016.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, I think they pushed it back a few months so that they could work on it some more, but also because you won't believe who else decided to announce that they were doing a movie on that same day. Episode 7.
Ah.
Star Wars. So they were like, oh crap, we are not getting anywhere near this.
Okay.
It's gone to a shit fest.
Okay, so yeah, okay, I can totally see that, but yeah, I'm actually very interested to see what the Warcraft movie is going to be like, because again, we've talked about the whole how there isn't enough genre variety with video game movies, and fantasy particularly. I'm actually surprised that there aren't more fantasy video game movies out there. If you ask me what game really, really, really needs to be made into a movie, my answer would easily be Zelda. But also because the only fantasy video game movie that we have, let's say high fantasy, because of fantasy is kind of very broad term anyway, but In the Name of the King, an Uwe Boll movie. So yeah, we really need something from a more legitimate. I guess Sands of Time would actually count as a fantasy a little bit.
Yeah, I would say it would more adventure fantasy. Yeah, I would go.
Yeah, it's a very broad term, but in that high fantasy milieu, Lord of the Rings and all that, that's where I would definitely see it. I'm actually thinking about, no wait, when's the next Hobbit movie coming out? If that also had anything to do with Warcraft being pushed further.
I think that in December they always have been, but I don't know. Do you have any more fantasy movies on your list?
Fantasy movies, like video game movies.
Video game fantasy movies, I mean?
No, not that I know of.
Then,
Is there something you want to bring up?
Well, it's just really quickly.
Yep.
I don't know how good this will be, but apparently on Wikipedia it says that they're trying to work on a Shadow of the Colossus movie.
Huh.
That would be... That's kind of tough, because, like, it's a very simple it's a simple concept, but, you know, the way they execute it in the game is very, like, expressive. It's like a work of art. So
they're just saying that they're working on it. They're not saying if it's live action or animation or anything like that.
I don't know.
Basically, last I heard about it, it was the live action, but the guy who directed Chronicle was set to direct.
Okay.
But he's currently working on the Fantastic Four movie, so you never know.
Yeah. Could either.
That's usually not a good sign if they got something else going on the sidelines. Like, Peter Jackson was supposed to direct the Halo movie, but then he went and did King Kong instead, and that never happened.
Yeah, I think the problem with this is that I can't really see this live action, because it's going to be because the Colossi they're have to be all CGI, and it's probably going to feel like the new TMNT movie, where it feels a lot pretty artificial to me. Like, if it was maybe fully animated Shadow of the Colossus if it was, like, in animation, like, but in a very expressive way, and maybe, like, done maybe somewhere else, then I think it could work, but maybe as a action type, movie or something like that, I don't know if it could work. So, yeah, that's going to be a mixed bag for me. That's going to be like, nah.
I'll just say that I'll definitely go see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no like, if it ever becomes a reality, but other than that, I don't have actually a strong feeling about it. What about Joe?
Oh yeah, now my microphone's working again.
Okay, yeah.
What movie was this?
Shadow of the Colossus, but this was like very, very hazy. Not a lot of detail on it yet.
Same response to Uncharted and The Last of Us. It's a very artistic-oriented. It was intended to be a video game piece of art.
Yes.
It was intended to tell a story. It told the story. It doesn't need to be made.
Ah, crap! It got cut off.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's pretty much like what I would say. Like, it doesn't need to be made, because it's like a work of art anyways, like, just in a game format.
Are you back? Joe?
Yeah, I'm.
Okay.
Did it cut me off? Or?
Yeah, it cut you off. In the middle of a sentence, yeah.
All right. What sentence?
Shit, I forgot. I think it was when you were talking about, like, it didn't need to be.
That it was inherently a video game experience, and
yeah, it was intended and designed to be a video game. It did what it was intended in the medium it was intended to be done in. It was low. It was low on dialogue because it didn't need dialogue, because it wasn't intended to be made with too much dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would actually find that an interesting experience to make a movie without any dialogue.
It could work. It could possibly.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that'd be interesting, but Shadow of the Colossus is not the movie you want to be doing that, because it was already, it's already the strongest it could be.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be made in any other way.
All right.
Yeah.
And the last two movies, I bring them up together because they're made by the same studio. They're both animated, and I think you've already guessed which one I'm talking about.
Of course, yeah.
Ratchet and Clank, scheduled for 2015, and Sly Cooper, scheduled for 2016.
Yep. So at least there's still some progression going with these movies happening. It's like more on the Ratchet and Clank movie, how there was another trailer that came out at, I think it was E3, I don't remember, but it was one of the biggest, like, game conventions. So
are you excited for it?
I'm pretty surprised that it's being made, and especially when Insomniac Games is actually going to be in the process of making this movie. Like, that's pretty thumbs up. Like, because, like,
But it's a very successful franchise, though. So, and it has a lot of like, I think it has a name value. So I think it's not that surprising that it's being made into a movie. But are you happy about it?
I'm actually happy about it. And you know what? It may be because, and of course, like what we were telling about, retelling of the first game and stuff like that. It's gonna go in that direction, but surprisingly, it doesn't bug me for some weird reason. Maybe it's because, like, it looks like, because, like, what they have presented is kind of like what we see in the game. Like, in the game cinematics of the franchise, they're going to have the same voice actors that would play, like, the major characters in those roles, except maybe a few. And so, yeah, I feel like it's going to stay more true to its franchise for this game. Like, that's why I'm quite psyched about it. There might be some things I feel like might go a little bit on the stretching point and may disappoint some fans, but honestly, I think I'm giving this one high hopes. Like, I think this one's gonna turn out, quite pretty solid. Like, maybe not the best, and not terrible, but like at least watchable. So that's all I have to say for the Ratchet.
And also, like, a theatrically released animated video game movie. Like, there was, of course, Wreck-It Ralph before this, but really you gotta go back, like, the previous Pokemon movie or something like that before, which was number 3, which was a pretty long time ago. So, yeah, I'm happy for this if it just becomes, because, I was very disappointed by the fact that the Spyro movie got kind of snubbed after it looked like it was actually going to happen, so...
And then, of course, there's the Sly Cooper one, which the biggest problem I'm a big Sly Cooper fan. I love the games, even the new one, which I do admit has quite a few problems. But I do enjoy them, and when I saw the things for the movie, my first reaction was, why does Bentley have eyeballs?
Because his glasses are very fadey, so you don't see his pupils. So, yeah, I can see why the art direction for the character designs may feel a bit off, especially when Sly Cooper's design is much more... It has more of a cel-shaded, Saturday morning cartoon style than, like, something you would see in Ratchet and Clank, which is more like...
it's more film noir. It's very reliant on film.
Joe got cut off again.
Damn it, Joe! Damn your mic!
Yeah, again, in mid-sentence as well.
Yeah.
Damn it, Joe's mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Film noir. You were saying film noir.
Yeah. The art style behind Sly Cooper I really enjoy, and the fact that it has, the game itself already has kind of a television feel to it. It's episodic.
Yeah.
So I think it would be much better as a traditionally animated TV show than a computer-generated film. Mm-hmm. But I don't have too much of a problem with, if they're going to remake the first game into a movie, because the first game was kind of lax on a story. It was really more like these 5 separate episodes, like where the second, third, and fourth games were very much more each episode built on to the next one. In Sly 2, there's an overarching grand scheme all the villains are aiming for, and each villain plays their own role. In the first game, it's very much each villain is doing their own thing.
But is that a thing that they've announced, that it's going to be based on the first game?
Right. It's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be based on the first game. So I'm excited to see Clockwork in a film adaptation. I think that'd be really cool, and I hope that they might be able to do a bit more with that than the games did. That's my only disappointment with the first game, is that they had this great character in Clockwork, and it took the second Sly Cooper game to really use him to his full advantage.
Yeah.
But I also could not help but nitpick, particularly with Bentley, because he's my favorite character, but, why does Bentley have eyeballs? Why, if this is the first game, why is he driving the truck, since he specifically says he can't drive a stick shift until the second game? So...
Okay.
I definitely end up nitpicking just because I love the games so much.
Okay. And Amuia, what about you?
Well, you know my history with the Sly Cooper series. I mean, heck, Sly is like one of my, if not my favorite video game character. But I don't really know what to say about either movie that hasn't been said already. It's awesome that it's happening, and I will say one thing that I can add.
Okay.
Typically, you see in these animated movies that are treated well, they'll get this animated movie, and then they'll get a bucket load of celebrities who've never done voice act before, just to put them on the poster. And so I like that that this movie is using, in Ratchet and Clank's case, the actual voice actors that have done this before. And in Sly Cooper's case, they aren't using the same voice actors, but they are using voice actors, like professional voice actors.
Yeah. Ian Corlett.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard Ian Corlett in a feature length, in a theatrically released movie, but I've heard him like plenty in cartoons. Like he's one of the guys.
Yeah, and I think he plays a good role for Sly Cooper's, like, you know, for.
Well, he is the hero voice. He was the voice of Mega Man in the Mega Man animated series, and he was also. He was the original English language Goku, actually, in the Canadian Dragon Ball Z dubs. So so he definitely like has that quality down.
Yeah. I guess maybe they had to find a replacement for the original Sly Cooper voice actor, because I think he also, like, he does the voice, like, I'm sure he probably would have gone it, but maybe he's too busy on schedule, so maybe they had to find this other actor, or maybe it's like more of a Canadian contribution for, because Rainmaker is Canadian, is a Canadian company, so of course they may have to throw in some maybe Canadian Union stuff into the mix. But surprisingly, they haven't shown that much of it in the Ratchet and Clank trailer so far. But I noticed with Sly Cooper they have with the voice actor for Sly. So yeah, well, we'll see how it goes in the end for both of those.
Well, they actually had to get a new voice actor for Sly, because the voice actor for Sly 1, 2, and 3, his voice actor refused to continue on for the fourth game and the movie. So it'll be the same voice. It'll be the same voice actor for the fourth game that's in the movie.
Oh, so it was in game then. Okay.
Oh, I thought it was the same voice actor for Thieves in Time, but okay, I was wrong then.
Well, maybe that says something about Ian Corlett's voice, that it's so generic that you didn't tell it apart.
Okay.
That's a joke, but honestly, like, Ian Corlett does have a very like. You can see why he gets cast in the leads of like cartoons and a lot because of that voice of his. But
Yep.
I
was just gonna say, before we wrap this up, I want to bring up one more movie, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I haven't. Well, if you let me first say my 2 bits.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Because everyone knows, like,
dude.
I don't have any. I really don't have any history with these games particular, but I will go see both of them. I will see Ratchet and Clank mostly as support for the effort and for the long-term goal that they will go through with the Sly Cooper movie.
Yeah.
So because I'm honestly a bit more interested in the Sly Cooper movie. It seems more interesting to me than the Ratchet and Clank movie, but I will go see it then. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you will like it.
Yeah.
Like,
so Amuia, did you what was that one other movie you wanted to bring up?
Sorry for interrupting earlier, but I was just gonna say, you were talking about like branching out into different genres, so I just wanted to bring this up really quickly. They're working on a Deus Ex Human Revolution movie.
Oh yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And they do have. Last I heard that they do have a writer and a director, and if I'm not mistaken, it's the same writer and director for that movie Sinister.
Oh.
I didn't see that one, so I don't know.
Sinister.
It was a horror movie that came out. I think it came out a couple of years ago, but it was actually
2012. Yeah.
It was actually surprisingly really good and played on the whole the whole fact of film itself, and it was one of those more suspense horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked it. Oh, and this writer that wrote Sinister and is apparently writing the Deus Ex movie used to be a film critic. If you ever heard of the site spill.com.
Oh yeah, it's not around anymore though. Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood.com got rid of spill.com.
Well, if you do your research, I know at least all of those guys have gone off to do their own separate stuff, and they do podcasts and now. But point was, this guy used to work for them. He was Carlisle on Spill.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one who became the writer for Insidious, right?
Think it was Sinister.
No, yeah, right. It's Sinister.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting. That could be a maybe. It could possibly work because Deus Ex is a pretty like a dark kind of video game franchise, right? Like in terms of its setup, like it's action packed.
Yeah, I don't think there's been like a huge like.
His name is C. Robert Cargill.
Yes.
But he went by Carlisle on Spill.com.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and I think don't think there's been like a huge, or maybe I just haven't been paying attention. I don't think there's been like a huge amount of like cyberpunk kinds of films. So yeah, that could actually like work. I think.
Yeah.
To find like an audience for itself.
Right.
Okay, but I think that's it. We'll wrap up this conversation here, and when we come back, more White Devil. Moving on, please. Yes, thank you. So, we got the Amuia catchphrase as well. Okay. Yay!
Keep on keeping on.
All right, so now it's Lindsey's turn. It's Lindsey's puzzle. Lindsey, what will you pick, A or B? And A is the one that Joe didn't pick last time, so B is a new one. So which one?
I'm going to go for A, actually. I'm going to go for A.
You're going to go with A. All right. I'm looking forward to this one. This is a good one. Oh, this is a really good one. There we go. All right. William Shatner's wig was so fake.
How fake was it?
Thank you. William Shatner's wig was so fake, squirrels from miles around tried to blank it.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Oh, dude, no.
All right. Everybody write their answers. I'll read it one more time.
Okay. Can you repeat the question again? Because I was laughing.
So, William Shatner's wig was so fake. How fake was it? It was so fake, squirrels from miles around tried to blank it. So, blank it. Sorry. Yeah. Everybody write their answers?
I'm still thinking. Oh, God.
Still thinking.
Remember, it doesn't have to be dirty, but we find that the first one that comes to your mind is usually the funniest.
Dear, I don't know.
Lindsey, sorry, Lindsey, you don't need to write your answer because you'll get to say it out loud. So.
Okay.
I'm noticing the Facebook conversation chat I'm having is just the weirdest looking thing right now because it's just single word answers. Yeah,
that's always cool and seeing it afterwards. Like that's always the day after we do the podcast when we've done the match game. Like I look at singular PM streams from people and seeing like, what the hell did that have to do with anything? Like plunger. Like when would I ever have a conversation with plungers? All right, Cendoo, we're still waiting on you.
Just put anything.
I'll read it one more time.
There, go ahead.
All right.
What is your
All right.
stupid answer, Mr. Rush McPants?
Okay. William Shatner's wig was so fake. How fake was it? It was so fake that squirrels from miles around tried to blank it. Lindsey, what do you say? And you don't have to submit to the answer that you wrote down. Just try to think of an answer that would match as many people here as possible.
They tried to eat it.
Eat it? Wow, that's a brutal answer.
Oh.
Well, squirrels are actually, contrary to popular perception, they are rather vicious creatures. But
I could have told you that. I live in Ohio. There are squirrels everywhere. They're evil little beasts.
Oh yeah,
Oh man, I was actually
Okay,
thinking
there's some
eat
hope.
it tonight.
There's some hope here. There's some hope here, Lindsey. Okay, Amuia, what did you say?
I should have gone crazier, but I just said steal it.
Steal. Ah,
Like, take
man.
it.
Sorry, no match, no go. No.
I
So that's a miss. That's a miss. All right. T-McBee, what did you answer?
Oh god, I wanted to go dirty with this one, but I said screw it.
Screw it.
I didn't know what else to put. My mind.
Oh.
I know I'm gonna get a wrong answer for that one.
That was a wrong answer. I'm not gonna ask you to justify it. I'm gonna let it slide. Because obviously that was the one I was baiting you with. So.
Yeah.
Or baiting everybody.
Knew I should have taken my answer.
Yeah.
Oh
right.
man.
Joe, what did you say?
Well, you put the bait in the water, and I most certainly grabbed the hook. I said screw as well.
True.
Well, those squirrels are
Well, at
very
least you're-
screwy.
You're doing one letter better than a 4-letter word, but that's still a wrong answer. Cendoo, what did you say?
I honestly, the first thing that came to my mind was eat it, but I
What?
didn't think.
What?
No, I'm serious. The first thing that came to my mind was eat it, but I didn't put that because I didn't think it would match. I said steal it also.
You said steal it. So 2 steals. 2 steals, 2 screws, no eats.
I thought I would be the only one who would think eat
Poor
it,
Lindsey.
honestly.
Poor Lindsey.
Thank God
Well,
for
it's not
context.
your fault that we have a lot of dingbats in the panel today. So you can't win them all.
I thought it'd be a good idea to not be dirty-minded, but I was very wrong.
Yeah.
I was thinking there's no way Lindsay would be dirty-minded, and I was thinking eat it because I don't know.
Ah, that's too bad for Lindsay. Well,
But
I'm sorry, female red.
So
Please
after
don't hit me.
so after 4 rounds, T-McBee seems to be very close to winning this. Only Cendoo can stop him now. So.
Did you just call T-McBee a him?
Oh!
yeah.
Sorry.
Whatever.
I have to remind everyone that English is not my first language, and I do get that wrong. So yeah.
It's okay. Don't worry. I'm half asleep.
I
don't care.
apologize. I apologize.
It's okay. Like I said, I'm half asleep. I don't care. Let's move on.
Yes. Don't worry.
And
They'll
if-
be too busy
and if-
beating me up.
And if I can also say, if English isn't your first language, I wouldn't know it.
Oh yeah. English is not my first language, and we do not have, and in Finnish we do not have gender-specific third persons either. So sorry. Yes, I do get that wrong a lot of the time.
You're just using that as an excuse when you
Oh,
speak.
shit.
When you
Honey.
speak perfect. Anna, you speak perfect English. Come on.
Yes, you do.
Yes, but that's still, I still get that wrong. I'm sorry, especially like in the heat of a conversation.
It's
All
all right.
right.
Don't worry about it.
All right. So Cendoo.
Guys,
Cendoo. A
What?
B. B was the one that Lindsay turned down.
Well, just because I love patterns, I'm gonna say A.
You're saying A.
Hey, what a wonderful
And guess what?
kind of
This is
day.
another. Guess what? This is another match game classic. This is another classic match game puzzle. I've altered it a little bit, so it's not exactly the same way it was on the original show, but
Copyright.
yeah, but but it was a really good one, so that's why I chose it. I've changed it a little bit, but to make it more appropriate for our show, but it's essentially the same. Okay.
Okay.
On his trip to Ireland, Mario said, "I'm never eating another mushroom here. I just found out leprechauns blank in the woods." Alright. So on his trip to Ireland, Mario said, "I'm never eating another mushroom here. I just found out leprechauns blank in the woods."
I don't have the nerve to say.
you're gonna have to let me leave the game because my phone has just switched to 3G
All
and
right,
I
but
don't
can
have a
you
lot
just?
of data left and the router has just died.
Well, can you type your answer really quick?
Can you just answer really quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
What question?
The question was, on his trip to Ireland, Mario said, "I'm never eating another mushroom here. I just found out leprechauns blank in the woods." So, waiting for answers?
Leprechauns blank
Hannu, look
in
at
the
my
woods.
look at the PM conversation for.
No, Joe, not now. Lindsay's got little time. Let her answer.
Okay.
I know.
Everybody's answered. Everybody's answered. So I'm going to read it one more time, and then Cendoo is going to give his answer. On his trip to Ireland, Mario said, "I'm never eating another mushroom here. I just found out leprechauns blank in the woods."
There are two bait answers I'm hearing, and I'm not sure if I should go for the bait answer. I'm gonna say, going off that stupid bear saying, I'll just say they crap in the woods.
Crap.
It's not in me.
All right.
It's not in me to
All
swear.
right.
Sorry, guys.
I think you're at least gonna get one match with that. But let's go around the table. Amuia, what did you say?
That crap was my first instinct, but I went a little bit more PC and said pee in the woods.
Pee.
Actually, I was thinking either that or live in the woods.
Well, that's a cute and pacifistic answer. I don't know, but yeah, sorry, no. Oh, did Lindsey drop? Yeah.
Lindsey, we miss you, especially T-McBee.
All right, we'll see if she comes back, but let's move on. T-McBee, what did you answer?
I said crap!
Crap! We got crap, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that's a match. That's the match. Woohoo!
Thank you, Auntie McBee.
All right.
Sure thing, Cendoo.
You still need one more to match T-McBee. So let's see. Joe, what did you answer?
I'm gonna censor what I actually put and say crap as well. I didn't quite put that, but that's the
That's the correct answer. That is the correct answer.
Yes, that's the same meaning. And Joe, you know I'm not one to swear. Come on.
All right, let's see what.
Darn it, Mike.
You wanted me to check your history as hello, what's up? Books, ghosts, chainsaw, screw, and then blank. Get it? Because match game blank. All right.
Yep.
And Lindsey is still not back, and unfortunately she's the last one. I'm gonna peek at what her answer is. There we go. Screw.
What did you put?
She put screw.
She wrote dogging first, and then screw. So dogging. So I'm sorry. That's gonna be.
Well, Lindsey just messaged saying she has to go.
Yeah, sorry. Well.
No.
So unfortunately, Lindsey the Red has left the building. How unfortunate. How unfortunate.
It's okay. We all still love her, right?
Yep. Yeah, of course.
Well, this makes it a little difficult. We have a tie. We have no tie-breaking features, but we have a tie for the match game between T-McBee and Cendoo.
How the heck did that happen?
Because you both have two exact matches, no soft matches, no rotten answer awards. So we're gonna have to do a tiebreaker. We're gonna have to do a tiebreaker with Amuia and Joe on the panel. So
maybe I should just be the gentleman and surrender.
No, we'll do this. We'll do this. This is a first. We have to set a precedent for this. So I'm gonna flip a coin to see who gets to answer the puzzle first. You're both gonna give answers, and whoever matches with either Joe or Amuia, wins. Okay.
Heads I win, tails you lose.
Okay, Cendoo heads. Heads. Cendoo goes first. And the puzzle is going to be the one. It's the last one that didn't get picked. So we'll get that out of the way as well.
Mr. TheHande, you were supposed to call me out on that joke. I said heads I win, tails you lose.
Okay, but we don't
I caught that joke.
I heard. Oh, sorry. I just heard. Well, it was decided fair and square with the flip of a coin. You're going to go first.
Oh, stop stuttering. Okay, fine.
So you both get the same puzzle. Cendoo answers first, then T-McBee. Oh well, sorry. I read the puzzle first. Joe and Amuia write the answers. Then Cendoo answers. Then T-McBee answers, and then we'll see if they matched. Okay.
I hope I lose.
Is everybody clear? Okay. Joe and Amuia, get ready to write.
Okay.
Yep.
There was a heavy metal fender bender. James Hetfield from Metallica got rear-ended by blank. Well, this is great because none of these people were in the heavy metal podcast except for Cendoo. So unfortunately, that gives you a bit of an advantage. Well, T-McBee was too, but
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, because I won't know their answers. It gives me a disadvantage.
Okay.
I hope I lose because I like T-McBee more.
All right.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
All right, Joe. Joe answered.
Hey,
We're still waiting
for. That was supposed to be a compliment.
Still waiting for Amuia.
I didn't know what to do.
All right, everybody's. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Type your answer, Amuia.
Yeah, they've already written it. Okay, Cendoo, what is your answer?
A car.
A car. No.
Yeah, you get rear-ended by a car.
All right. T-McBee, what's your answer?
Oh, I didn't even type in.
You don't need to type in. You're competing. This is the tiebreaker.
Right. Oh, shit, I thought we were going separate. Okay.
Do you need me to read the puzzle for you again?
Yes, please. I'm sorry.
All right.
So sorry.
All right. There was a heavy metal fender bender. James Hetfield from Metallica got rear-ended by blank.
What's that name of that band? White Snake, I think? I don't know.
White Snake?
I'm done.
That's a very creative answer. Are you sure you want to go with that? Well, too late.
Whatever, too late. I don't care.
No take-backs. Okay, Joe, what did you answer?
Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin?
Oh, shit.
Wow! That's one heavy metal band. Wait a minute. I played the sound effect, but on the risk that we're not going to get any correct answers on this, I'm going to give it a soft match in T-McBee's favor. So Cendoo now needs to either match Amuia perfectly or get a soft match, and we'll have another tie, and we'll have to do another tiebreaker. But anyway, Amuia, what did you write?
Say it. I went with a tank.
A tank.
That's a type of car?
A car? Is a tank a car? I need help now.
Well, it is a vehicle.
It is some mode of locomotion.
Form of a vehicle, which would give a soft match for Cendoo, and we'd have another tie.
We could get a better answer or get a better question.
No. It's not a car because it's classified as a war machine. There you go. TeamMcBee wins.
Should we just even go with that? Like, what would you think?
Wow, my God.
Well, let's let Hannu decide.
I'm going to have to give that a soft match. If I'm going to give a Led Zeppelin a soft match for Whitesnake, I have to give a freaking soft match on a tank for a car.
Okay.
Oh, my stars.
So one more.
Wow.
All right, let's do it again.
I do have...
So, just so you guys
I have
know,
one more.
Whitesnake is to Led Zeppelin as a tank is to a car.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I still have one more puzzle. Okay, I have one
All
more
right.
puzzle, so we're gonna do it. And if nobody gets it after this point, we're officially declaring it a tie.
Yeah. There
Rock,
we go.
paper, scissors, lizard, Spock.
And because Cendoo went first last time, he's gonna go. T-McBee is gonna go first on this one. So again, you have the same puzzle. Amuia, Joe, write your answers. I'm gonna read it now. Okay.
Right.
Ladies first.
Oh my God, this was the shitty one. So this is why I left it as the. This is why I left it as the tiebreaker.
Oh,
All right.
I'm ashamed for this. I was trained for an extra answer in case we didn't have enough puzzles.
It's okay.
They're making an adult feature version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In this version, Donatello uses a blank as a weapon.
Oh,
Oh,
Joe,
no.
Amuia, please write your answers. How quickly did this all deteriorate? Let's go. We were having such fun before.
Yeah.
We were having such fun before, and now it's.
Hey, you're the one who included that, Hannu.
If just one of you had gotten an exact match on the last one, we wouldn't have gone down this road.
Well, you should have let me take
And I
my
would have
first
been
answer.
able to
of
bury
Ghost.
this answer before the next podcast.
Well, you should have let me use my first answer of Ghost.
Oh.
There you go.
All right. Okay. We've Amuia and Joe wrote their answers. T-McBee, you go first. I'm gonna read it one time. They're making an adult feature version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In this version, Donatello uses a blank as a weapon.
A blow-up doll. There we go. Well, it's an adult version.
Okay.
Well, there's a difference between adult and mature, in my opinion.
Appropriate
sorry,
answer. I'm not sure you're gonna win with that one, but Cendoo, what did you say?
I'm gonna say a gun.
A gun?
That's adult themed, I think.
All right. Well, I think there should be a definite winner with answers this different. But then again, we got to remember the last puzzle. All right. Joe, what did you answer? Joe?
what?
What did you answer?
What'd you answer?
Sorry. The Skype kind of blinked out for a second.
Yeah, it did that to me too. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So,
Joe.
now I'm.
So what did you answer?
I said stripper pole.
Stripper pole. I'm going to leave that on reserve. Let's see what Amuia answered. What did you say?
I didn't go with my first answer, which was a toy that starts with the letter D. Instead, I went for the PG version and just put adult toy.
Adult toy.
Well, technically, a blow-up doll is an adult toy.
I know what answer Amuia was going for. That was kind of the baited answer. A stripper pole is kind of in that same area. Gun, definitely we did not mention any weapons, unless you would weaponize a stripper pole, which I would find very difficult to do. That's 2 sauce matches, and T-McBee wins the game.
Yeah!
Finally, it's over. I was sweating bullets over here over what you guys were gonna say.
I wanted T-McBee to win because she's an angel.
Oh my god, closest match. Well, it's only our 3rd match game. It's the closest one we've ever had.
Can I
Also,
just say,
I don't want to be known as someone who went the worst to the winner.
Can I just say something really quick?
Yes.
Yes.
We are very topical, considering the new Ninja Turtles movie just hit theaters.
Yes, I'm not gonna lie.
that's
I'm not gonna lie. That was a big inspiration for that particular puzzle. But
My
I was trying to put a funny twist on it without going
My friend,
for obvious anti-Michael Bay thing or something.
Actually, my friend Mr. Weenie says the movie was actually better than expected.
It got mixed reviews.
Interesting. We actually have a plan with a friend of ours to actually drive to Sweden to go see it because it's opening earlier there than in Finland.
Hey, everyone else here, up for a road trip to Finland? I mean, Sweden?
On your plane ticket in.
Sweden, so... Anyway, but that it is. T-McBee is the winner of the 3rd ever match game on White Devil Podcast. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, more White Devil Podcast. Bye! And welcome back to the Q&A section of the White Devil Podcast. And it's been an interesting, very long but very interesting podcast. And once again, we have some questions from people submitted to us. And we'll take the first one. This actually is not visible on the YouTube announcement video that I made it because it was actually submitted to me by Facebook. And it's from our friend Dorobka. And, okay. And he asks, actually, very appropriately, what video games should be made into live-action films and which shouldn't?
Anything that's cartoony-like should not be a live-action either, no matter what.
That's a fair point. I mean, if it's very, very cartoony, like, I do have a bad reaction when it's... If there's a film adaptation of something like the Asterix, the live-action Asterix movies, I've had a bad reaction to, for instance.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, and you can see pretty much say the same thing with the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, yeah.
If that was it, I probably would have loved it more. But no, they had to do some really dumb changes and, made things that made no sense. Even though, like, Mario is a simple concept that doesn't even make sense and has weird things, but at least it's, like, it looks inspired and engaging to, like, it has this fairy tale kind of look. And I know
But
you're not
how
really...
many... But I was going to ask...
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
One of us is going to have to talk.
Yep.
Go ahead.
All right. I was going to say, with those problems, with in referencing the Super Mario Brothers movie, how many of those problems were due to the fact that it was a transition from animated to live action, and how much of it was story? Because the thing is that I think you could work any real style into any other style so long as so long as you can transition the story properly. You can't tell a film the same way that you can tell a video game or a television show. So in reality, the question shouldn't be what games should be made into movies. The better question is what games can be adapted properly and easily into movies.
Yeah, good.
Good point.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
There's a movie. Amuia, do you have something to add to this?
Well, just I guess I'll just add on to them. But yeah, I think that mainly they should go for stuff that's like highly stylized and has like a like simple or whatever story that that the director can more flesh out and stuff. Like, I'd kind of like to maybe someday, once video game movies start coming in that are like amazing, for like maybe a Mirror's Edge movie someday.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
true.
also to add on to what T-McBee said, I can tell you one movie that I would never like to see live action: Little Big Planet.
Yeah, in that particular sense, the games, yeah, and that's where kind of the distinction would be, is that games that have a story are much easier to adapt, and therefore that would fit the criteria. But a game like Little Big Planet is all about gameplay. It has no story.
Well, to be fair, I wouldn't mind like a stop motion Little Big Planet movie.
But you would have a particular problem of a story, because again, I don't think Little Big Planet has a story, does it?
Oh yeah, it
So
does.
you can still work a story out of it.
Sort of. I mean,
But-
if they make something, if they make original story to it, like, I mean, they could. I think it could possibly work, and I think Amuia was thinking the same thing as me and making it into like a stop motion film, because
Kinda
I
like-
think that could
Nice.
work really well.
Kind of like Paranorman or Coraline or something like that. I could
Yeah,
definitely see it.
Yeah, mix it like with that, but have like sort of like a Winnie the
Wait a minute, they
Pooh-
already did make that movie. They already did make the movie. You guys
What?
remember that movie 9?
Interesting.
That's the Little Big Planet movie. That's a Little Big Planet that meets the Book of Revelations, but it's the Little Big Planet movie.
But it could possibly
Nice.
work. But you know what? It might work. And I mean, come on, Stephen Fry as the narrator. I mean, it could,
Awesome.
but it just has to be executed right. So
Yeah.
this could be a maybe. I think what I probably wouldn't want to see, like a video game to be, animated is like what we've probably talked about before with Angry Birds and Minecraft. Like, I mean, like how, like, okay, sure, I know there was a Lego movie, but at least with Lego, it's been around for years and there's like creativity and they kind of make their own story. But I can't really see that with Minecraft because everything looks the same. There
And
isn't
Minecraft is all about Minecraft is either about survival or just building random crap.
Yeah,
Well,
and the,
well,
and the thing,
are there, like-
that helps.
There's like boss characters or something that's gonna be like about defeating the Ender Dragon or something like that.
I have,
The movie.
I have the Lego movie,
Yeah.
and two things that helped with the actual movie is the fact that since it's been around for so long, there were tons of different licensed characters and variations of characters to put in the movie.
Yeah,
And-
not to mention. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, and variety. And the second thing that I just want to quickly say is the directors. Like, I'm totally blanking on their name right now, but the directors are like infamous for taking something that shouldn't be adapted and making a good movie out of it. They're responsible for the first 21 Jump Street,
Mhm.
and also they're responsible for Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Which,
Yeah,
if
I know
you,
what you're talking. Yeah.
if you remember, it was just a very short, small, little kids book. That they
Yeah, it was
adapted
one of my
into a
favorite
movie.
books growing up. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I love
Well,
that book.
I just mean that there's not that much story to put into a whole feature-length movie, but yet these guys did it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's answers. I think that's just the last note from me, I guess, is I have this weird, like, mixed feeling about it because long ago, when we did the first White Devil podcast, which was about the Mega Man franchise, and I basically just gave a little condensed review of the Mega Man fan movie. That's an actual thing that was done. A live-action, fully feature film, full feature-length movie about Mega Man. And my problem with it, some of my nitpicky problems about it I talked about. But another thing was that perhaps like Mega Man in itself, like in live action, just seemed kind of weird. But I could totally see it for like something a bit more serious and dark, like Mega Man X, which has a more like a well, not post-apocalyptic, but it's like getting there, I guess, apocalyptic feel to it. So I think that would work. But yeah, I guess it depends a little bit on the medium, but also like how you approach it.
Yeah.
Well, basically
Yeah.
what you guys said, but in so many words. Okay,
Right.
thanks for that question, Dorobka. It's inspired a lot more conversation. But all right, so let's move on to the next. We have 2 questions submitted by a tipsy McBoozerton.
Oh.
All right,
Oh,
Tipsy Mc.
who's Tipsy McBoozerton? I haven't heard about her since, I don't know.
I don't know
2000.
T-McBee. I don't have no idea.
Yeah, who is this drunk?
Okay, all right. So she has 2 questions. The first one is, what do you like more, sweet foods or salty foods?
I know, it's red.
Sweet.
Salty.
I like salty. I like savory stuff. It's good.
It's wrong for me to say both. I kind of it's certain things, certain salty things I like a lot more, but I do have a sweet tooth, if you will, as well. A very fierce one.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for that question, T-McBee. The
Yeah,
next
I know,
question.
it's random, but I was hungry when I answered when I wanted to ask you that question.
Okay. All right. Number 2. This is an interesting one. Which movie or movies have left you either disgustedly leaving the movie theater or bitterly changing the channel? Anyone?
Yeah. Anyone?
Could you say that again?
Which movie or movies have left you either disgustedly leaving led you to disgustedly leave the movie theater or bitterly change the channel?
Like a movie that you hated to the point where it's like, I can't watch this anymore. That's basically what I'm asking.
Have any of you walked out of a movie in a theater?
I have never walked out of a movie. But that film I was referring to, that really, really awful film, is the only film that I actually wish I could go back in time and walk out of. You know,
Yeah.
like I actually wish I could break the laws of physics to forget that film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah.
For me, I don't know if I'm a completionist or a glutton for punishment, but generally when I unless I've seen it like a bajillion times, usually when I start a movie I like to finish it, even if it's bad. But I can say that there were a few times where I got close to that, and one of which was Transformers 2.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I could imagine not going through Transformers 2. I actually did go complete it, but there is a film that I have never seen from the beginning to the end, and it's not for turning it off. It's simply that I fall asleep through it every time I put it in.
Okay.
And it is an independent film. It is called Pendragon Pictures' War of the Worlds, and it is
So it's
awful.
It's that version that's like a word for word adaptation of the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know if you guys have ever read War of the Worlds. I have.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happens in the book for a very long time. It is literally about this dude walking around the English countryside. And I won't be darned if that movie did not spend 45 minutes of the same image of this guy running around the English countryside.
Wow.
I haven't watched that, but I do remember that James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd, did a video about comparing different versions of the War of the Worlds that came out around the time when the big Hollywood Tom Cruise version came out. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm sending you guys the URL to the Wikipedia page.
Okay.
This is the film I'm referring to.
Oh yeah.
It came out at exactly the same amount of time as the Steven Spielberg War of the Worlds, but it is so much worse.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll definitely avoid that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like when I make that list, this will be on that list. I plan to make my top 8 least favorite films. This one will definitely be on it.
All right.
And there's the phone again.
Okay. And it's
Okay.
I've never walked out of a movie either. Even a movie that I didn't particularly like because I paid the ticket. I might as well just bear and grin it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like to me, it does not make sense to me to first pay the ticket and then just leave halfway through or even before that. It's That's just completely ridiculous. Like but it's a little bit different. You also say barely changing the channel, but with television, it's more like there's less of a commitment to see anything on television. Like I rarely watch movies when they're aired on TV, unless it's a movie I haven't seen, and even in those cases, I usually I record it first and then I watch it a bit later because I like to have my own my own time. And like let's say I have to go to the bathroom, like I will stop the movie and I will continue it.
Yeah.
Then.
Well, I don't know. I just said that because
yeah,
I may like watch it on TV, so.
And that's a kind of a thing is like there definitely have been movies where I've watched a little bit of it and then I changed the channel, but it's more like like I wasn't really committed to the experience anyway, so yeah, so it's not that I bitterly changed the channel. It's not, the movie might actually be even good, but like I might have something else I want to watch or something, right. And especially like a movie, like I've made a point to see it in a theater, then I'm not gonna walk out of it all of a sudden. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. That was an interesting probing. Like none of us have walked out of a movie. That's interesting. So okay.
Yeah.
But that was still a good question, T-McBee. Thank you very much for that. And
thank you.
Yes, that actually completes the Q&A. So I guess
unless you guys want to hear what I would say, like.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, we don't. We're done. We're finished.
Oh, no.
I see how this goes. What the hell? Okay, but anyways, no, the only reason why I had to ask this question to you guys is because it was inspired by me watching a film with one of my younger cousins who was visiting over in July, and we were trying to find movies to watch on TV like at night, and okay, we put on Van Wilder, or National Lampoon's Van Wilder with Ryan Reynolds, and the first, like, I thought it was going to be, I know it's one of those like dumb comedy movies that you're going to expect to see something stupid, but it was to the point where the first scene just literally threw me off, and I'm like, yeah, I watching this at the wrong age. I don't find this funny. I find this degrading, and I want to change the channel. So that's the reason why I had to ask this question to you guys. And when it comes to movies, even if it's a bad movie I've seen, I never walked out of a theater because I paid money for it, like Hannu would say. So of course, like, maybe I would probably like rant and roll my eyes like, are you fucking serious? Like, kind of like that kind of response. Like, even with like the movie Planet 51, like, I'm surprised I sat in that theater even though that movie was crap in my opinion. So that was basically the inspiration, and that would be my my response for now.
It's kind of inspirational to think just how much garbage the human condition will be able to withstand.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
And it's also like, for me, also like, if I've committed myself to watching a movie from start to finish, like I try to avoid like movies that I probably don't like anyway. But it's also like, if it's a movie that I didn't like that much, I stopped watching like part of the way through, then it doesn't leave an impression in my head, so I have a hard time even remembering it. So that's another thing, probably. Okay, because we had such a short Q&A this time, this is something a bit more topical. I quickly wanted to kind of just probe. Well, now there's only, and then there were 3, but
yeah.
But there was something this week that happened, and I wanted to kind of probe your reactions to it. Do you not guys know about the whole Studio Ghibli situation that happened this week?
Oh, right, I remember.
No, I don't, but I will look it up.
Well, I'll quickly explain what happened. Well, so Ghibli made this statement earlier this week, and because apparently, like, their last couple of movies haven't done very well. Hayao Miyazaki was, of course, retiring, but now again he's retiring
for the 3rd time.
Yes, and now he's actually come around and said that, okay, I'm not retiring yet. But what they basically did, they wanted to announce that they were kind of they were taking a break from doing feature-length animated movies, and that they were basically like leaving that one that section of their company to they're leaving it hung out to dry for a little while, while they're
Entering hiatus.
Yeah, trying to figure out what's going on. But what happened was that that when they made that press release, it was like in Japanese, and somebody made like a really bad translation of it and that translation then went viral on Tumblr, and a lot of fans on Tumblr overreacted and thought that Studio Ghibli was shutting down.
Oh yeah.
And I was pulled into this. I was pulled into this thinking like, oh shit, Studio Ghibli is closing down. And so actually, what I did was I did something that I've been putting off for a really long time. I actually finally redid my top 10 Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki films list, but that's on my blog. But then I realized, I read afterwards, I found out that oh no, they're not closing down. They're just taking a break.
Yeah.
But did you guys have what kind of reactions did you guys have to this whole thing?
Not extremely shocked like a lot of people are, because like I have to be honest, like I'm not really big on Studio Ghibli's work, but I do understand how like the films are so very popular, and how like their storytelling for these animated features are very like engaging and like crafted beautifully than you would see in like Western animation films. So right. I can understand why people would freak out with this news.
Okay. And yes, Joe, what about you?
Well, in my particular case, I've never really been like I've only seen a few Studio Ghibli films, and I've enjoyed the ones that I've seen. Like I've seen Spirited Away, Kiki's Delivery Service. That was a while ago.
Okay.
And but I've never really been all that attached to Studio Ghibli, so I didn't react too much to hear like. And I heard about it a little bit. Like I saw a few things on Tumblr, but I just kind of like, oh, okay, because I know about the whole Miyazaki saying he's going to retire again.
Yeah.
So I just kind of assumed that this was going to be a temporary thing anyway.
Okay, yeah. Amuia.
Oh yeah, My Neighbor Totoro. I saw that one too.
Oh yeah,
that was good.
All right.
Well, my reaction is going to be a little bit different because I kind of grew up in the heartland.
Yeah.
Growing up in Japan, but I can tell you that I did grow up on the Disney re-releases of the Studio Ghibli movies. I saw a lot of them, like Howl's Moving Castle, all the ones that Joe said.
Yeah.
But it was a big part of my childhood. So when I heard about it, I just heard the internet's reaction. I genuinely, until Hannu just corrected the internet, I genuinely thought that Studio Ghibli was closing down permanently. And when I heard this, I was really saddened. And to hear that they're only going on a break is good news.
Well, I didn't correct them. I didn't correct them. Like Ghibli themselves, like made the correction a little later on because they realized what kind of a reaction that first statement that was a little vague. I will have to say, but also like those people on Tumblr only got it through this badly translated version of their like press statement. So yeah.
Well, you know what I mean. When I say the internet, I just mean the collective of the people on the internet. But anyway. So now I am still a little saddened, but I am also glad to know that it's not completely closing down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's interesting. Well, that was interesting to hear. I don't know what else to say to that except like check out my top 10 Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki films list because now you can only do it on my blog because I removed the old terrible YouTube video that I had about it. So.
Oh, okay.
And that was actually like in my most one of my most watched. Well, naturally because it was also one of my oldest, but it was like in the 100,000s as far as like the views went. So it'd been around the block a lot. So not that surprising, but like it was long overdue for a makeover anyway. So so it was good for me to get that done. Okay, but I think now we are officially done with the podcast. I want to thank all my guests, even the ones who had to leave early because of whatever, and for sticking around. Joe, especially for technical reasons.
Yeah.
Some technical problems we had a little bit, but hey, this was a fun podcast. I think we got a lot out of it, and all I want to say to my audience right now, thank you for listening, and See you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
You guys want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Toodle pips.